Chapter 601. The dark room moves just like the smaller cube I was in before. I take a few steps forward and pull a black chair from the opposite side of the table and sit down, doing as the director asked. The 3 new A-class hunters take seats near me as well. Their golden collars glow brightly. The feeling of being guided along a magical railway continues as the room speeds up, leading us in a direction unknown to me. It feels like we're heading north, but it's hard to tell without exposing my true mana control to break through the high-grade mana shielding we're surrounded with in this room. We all sit in silence for about half a minute before the director speaks again while pressing a button beneath his table. To save time while we make our way to the headquarters, I might as well begin the tour here. A portion of the wall to the right of me begins to shift in color, like a video is about to play. However, soon I realize that the flashing white light I see is hundreds of panels of mana shielding flying by as we ride on a thin silver rail made of a metallic alloy I can't identify. Square-shaped holes in the ground fly by in the view, revealing orange-red dirt patches just like what I saw when I got here. However, we're headed off in the opposite direction, leaving the exam site. We also rise higher into the air to follow the silver rail upward. A few other twisting railways are visible far off in the distance as well, with other cubes being transported on them. The director speaks up as my eyes are glued to the transparent sidewall display with genuine awe. As you can see, our testing site is being slowly dismantled. We'll be reusing these resources for other projects in the future. I nod slowly and watch the ground get further away and the patches of dirt grow more abundant. Crews of hunters become visible, tearing the mana shielding away, loading them into item boxes, and bringing them back in the same direction we're headed on other silver railways. The new A-class hunters sit quietly while nurses finish healing up the director. I finally speak up once the room we're sat in stops rising in elevation, and it feels like we're just moving in one direction about 2 kilometers above the ground. I've never been in a transportation machine quite like this. The abundance of mana shielding on the ground fades more and more, leaving just orange dirt on the horizon. It looks like we've made it out of the exam test site, and the trees, colorful flowers, and grass that grow out here tell me that there wasn't any mana shielding covering this land before. We've made it to the natural land of the Apex region. The director responds once endless rolling hills come into view. Yes, teleport crystals are usually saved for long-distance travel. We much prefer to rely on the rail system here. There are 28 routes that cover the entirety of the Apex region. If you wish to take the tour of the entire region later, I'm sure this can be arranged, but for now, I'll just be taking you directly to the heart of the region. This book was originally published on Royal Road. Check it out there for the real experience. I nod as I see the other railways bend off in other directions the further away from the exam testing site we get. Some of them even dip down to make stops within the rolling hills. I see small settlements that house a few hundred people each. They all have very well-built symmetric homes, shops, and roads. It looks like it has a futuristic Apex region touch to it, built with white and silver high-grade materials in very symmetric patterns. I see a few guards watching from the far edges of the settlements. Just like any other region, it seems there are just normal citizens going about their normal lives out here. Roads connect these smaller towns to bigger ones that look like they could house thousands as we venture deeper into the Apex region a few hundred kilometers further over the next few minutes. Large apartment complexes, town squares, and communities prosper out in these open plains, and they're well connected to farmland and all of the other cities for trade. It is all incredibly well maintained, with more elite hunters guarding the cities and keeping watch. There is definitely very high surveillance in these cities, but they look incredibly orderly and clean. I don't exactly know what I was expecting, but seeing normal life in this region kind of surprises me. We pass about 5 cities with populations I'd estimate to all be close to the entirety of the Crimson City. The deeper we venture into this region, the more crowded it becomes with roads, buildings, and people. Something odd I didn't pick up on are small silver boxes that are scattered all throughout the rolling hills. There were only a few surrounding the smaller cities, so I didn't think much of it, but now that there are hundreds of them scattered everywhere. In the cities and out in the open plains, I speak up with a confused expression on my face. What are all those silver boxes? I would do a scan for myself, as they look very familiar to mana-shielded cubes I saw long ago in Sector 4. But the director answers my question while rippling out an aura filled with pride. Those are all dungeon portals. The closer we get to headquarters, the more abundant they will become. A lot of our C and B-class hunters do training out here. Near the larger cities, some of the dungeons get pretty strong. He chuckles to himself while the railway zips across the sky and more cities pass by, clumping closer and closer together until the entire ground is covered in homes, shops, and roads filled with people. The buildings get taller and more luxurious, and the streets all begin to converge toward a single tall hill in the distance. It rises up almost a full kilometer in the sky, making a perfect backdrop for the city large enough to house 100,000 citizens. The silver railway curves downward, and our descent begins. We get closer and closer to the ground, and I see a few other silver rails next to us all falling toward a single point, the massive grassy hill. Our speed doesn't slow as we zip between the taller towers in the city, and the director doesn't seem to be too concerned about the fact that we're about to collide with this massive mound of dirt either. So I sit back and wait for impact. The mana-shielded box hits the side of the massive grassy hill, but I don't feel it shake or slow at all. We just phase through the mountain into what looks like a hidden fortress. The veil of green grass ripples as I look back at the city we're leaving behind, and we dip down into a base deep within the heart of the Apex region. The side of the grassy mound was all an illusion, hiding the headquarters entrance in plain sight. Mana shielding far thicker than the box we're in covers the inner walls of the hill as the railway plummets down deep underground. Bright lights flash by as the sheets of mana shielding blink rapidly from the speed, but they start to flash far less once our velocity slows. The room shakes quite a bit as it finally comes to a stop, and at the same time, the transparent window turns back to opaque shielding. A door at the back of the room opens up, and Mr. Freeman speaks. "Welcome to the Apex Regions Association headquarters." Everyone in the room stands up, even the director, while his nurses help him on each arm. So I do too. The golden-eyed man walks all the way around the table, and his shadowy figure shows that just a pair of glowing eyes covered in dark robes are walking through the room. I know that his real appearance looks different, but using his Master of Illusions buff, this mysterious form is all anyone can see. "Please, follow me and I will give you a tour of the facilities." He walks out the open door with his nurses and 3 new A-class hunters close behind, and I follow, holding in my grin as my enemy leads me right into the heart of his hidden fortress. Chapter 602. A confident woman's voice echoes from the door as a narrow white entrance hallway comes into view. "Welcome back, Mr. Freeman. That was a quick trip, as expected." A woman with tightly tied back blonde hair, clad in a black and green association-branded combat suit, greets us at the end of the short hall. She's holding a silver tablet, and I watch each of the new A-class hunters reach into their item boxes to pull out their IDs. I do the same. Mr. Freeman gives the woman a nod as he walks by her without saying a word, flanked by his 2 nurses. The 3 A-class hunters, however, stop in front of the woman to scan their IDs. She taps on her tablet after each of them scans, and they follow the director out of the narrow hall. The woman flashes me a bright smile as she scans my ID just like the others. "Ray Anderson, uncontracted B-class hunter. It looks like this is your first time in the Apex region. I hope you enjoy your stay at headquarters." I put my ID back in my item box and nod as I walk past her. "Thanks, My words are cut short as the entrance hall opens up into a massive room. It isn't the sheer size of the room, the intense mana shielding, the half-dozen 10-meter-wide chandeliers, or the massive exquisite art pieces on display all over the walls and ceiling. What stops me mid-sentence and halts my steps is the enormous 30-meter-long statue in the center of the hall. A white dragon stands on its back legs, wings outstretched as if about to take flight. Each of its scales is semi-reflective, giving thousands of small sparkling visuals of all the priceless art that fills the hall. Its teeth are sharp, and its eyes look as if the beast is still alive, though there isn't a drop of energy left in this creature. It's impossible to tell if it's a petrified monster turned into a trophy or a carefully crafted masterpiece. I can't help but stare, deciding to believe it's the latter, whispering to myself, "What a lifelike piece of art. It looks so real. Incredible." The director overhears me as we walk by the reflective statue's right leg across the long entrance of mana-shielded flooring and responds, "Indeed, it is the prize of my collection here." It's quite the conversation starter for new guests. "You say it is lifelike? Have you ever seen a dragon in the flesh?" I think of a reply as we walk around its back, following the curling white tail to the back of the room where two winding staircases lead downward. As I reply, a few hunters approach from the left side, but their levels are that of low C-class hunters, so I don't think much of it. No, I haven't seen a real dragon before, but it is everything I ever thought one would look like. We continue walking toward the tip of the dragon's beautiful tail, met by open doors between the stairs. An elevator with hand-carved designs and more exquisite art on its walls comes into view behind the open doors, along with a number panel from 1 to 20 labeled inside small white buttons. As we all step into the spacious room, the director replies, "Well, that is a good thing. If you said yes, I would have to change my art piece to something different. I can't have new guests be unimpressed by my prized piece." He laughs to himself while the doors close, and he presses the number 5. Another group of C-class hunters walks up the left stairway, and a group of B-class hunters arrives from another entrance point just as we begin to descend downward. This place is bustling with workers and hunters. They may all be in Apex region uniforms, but it doesn't seem like this base is a well-kept secret. It appears to be open to the public. The elevator slides downward, taking us deeper into the base until I hear a ding and watch the doors open again. The sound of bells ringing, loud music, incredible smelling food, laughter, and bright colorful lights comes into view. An endless hall of restaurants, shops, and table games fills my senses. I think back to the pretrial room in the exams, and this looks just like it, only tens of times bigger. My eyes widen as the director speaks up. "This is floor 5, the entertainment floor. It may look familiar to you, but rest assured, none of these games are rigged like the exams. I thought we might as well start off the tour with something to catch your attention. Floors 1 through 4 are mostly desk work and accounting jobs, keeping track of the citizens and hunters in our region." He chuckles to himself. "This novel's true home is a different platform. Support the author by finding it there. Hunters are only allowed here during non-working hours, and only 20% of your salary is permitted to be wagered each month. We make sure everyone is responsible with their funds." Mr. Freeman hits the number 10 button on the elevator, and we descend further until it opens again. This floor looks much different, more in line with what I was expecting from this facility. There are dozens of sectioned-off mana-shielded rooms with timers above each of their doors. Some rooms are covered in opaque silver or white shielding material, while others are clear like glass, allowing me to see C and B-class hunters sparring with weapons and elemental skills. Everyone here wears the same green and black combat suits as the woman upstairs who greeted us. The director speaks up again as I stare forward. "This is where many of our C and new B-class hunters practice training. The sim suits worn are graded up to roughly level 1200 attacks. You wouldn't be able to go all out, especially with that buff of yours. But this is a very valuable resource for many Apex region hunters to go all out without any consequences." I nod, remembering back to long ago when I first visited Vice City and tried a similar technology, but the suits were only graded up to B-class attacks. "Very interesting. I'd love to try them out another time." The door closes again, and the director brings us down to the 15th floor. It is far more private and looks rather luxurious. All I see is a red carpet and black doors numbered 1 to 100 until they go out of sight, labeled with golden text. The director explains this floor too. Everything from floor 11 to 16 consists of private suites and private magic gear shops only available to contracted hunters. You will be given unlimited access to your own suite upon signing a contract. Of course, the A-class suites on floor 16 are far more luxurious than the B and C-class suites you see here. We can tour these later if you wish. The door closes once again, and we're brought down to floor 17. It appears to be some kind of market with booths and shops, but there are no customers at all. It just looks like workers are sorting and crafting all kinds of dungeon loot. There are E and D grade items, but some of the stalls have C and B grade loot and gear as well. The director's commentary echoes in my ear as I continue to scan the rows of workers. This is where all of the farmed resources from our thousands of dungeons within the Vice region are sorted and crafted into usable materials. Many hunters sell them to the association-owned vendors around the capital city, and they're all brought here 24 hours a day to be processed. Far in the back, we have a few legendary grade craftsmen. If you'd like anything unique crafted with materials you've farmed, don't be afraid to ask. It is a service available to all B-class and above hunters. He murmurs under his breath as the door closes again. If it wasn't for that damn Flame Emperor screwing up my trade deals, we would be making far more profit. The trip down to the next 2 floors takes longer than usual, as the next floor seems very tall. I smile inwardly at his frustration as the door opens to the 18th floor, revealing what looks like another training facility. The ceilings are easily 50 meters high, making the long wait to get here make more sense. This one is only split into 2 massive rooms. One of them is empty, while the other is in use by 4 golden-collared figures that I recognize. Rodrigo stands at the back of the massive mana-shielded room with a silver clipboard in hand next to the long blonde-haired woman healer. They talk to each other while attentively watching the 2 A-class hunters with red divine cores spar at what looks like full power, but only using mana and not the aid of their borrowed soul energy or divine cores. The 3 A-class hunters take a step forward as the door opens, and the director speaks. This is your stop. Continue your training, and thank you very much for waiting for our guest to arrive and bringing him to me. They step out and make their way toward the other massive empty training room as Mr. Freeman continues. This is the A-class training facility. Soon, I believe this will be more appealing to you. These 2 rooms were put in place by a team from the central branch of the association quite a while back. They're graded to withstand up to level 5,000 attacks. Believe it or not. An aura of satisfaction and pride ripples off him as the door closes once again, and we descend further. It's just me, the director, and his 2 nurses when the bell rings, and we hit the 19th floor. This floor isn't as impressive as the last. It just has a few sectioned-off rooms, public lounges, saunas, restaurants, and bars. There is very slow and calming music playing, and no customers at all, but many attentive employees are on duty. It must be a private lounge for the A-class hunters to use once they're finished with hard training sessions. To my surprise, both of the nurses walk forward once the door fully opens, and Mr. Freeman speaks to them. This will only take a few minutes. I prefer to show our guest the final floor alone. They both walk forward, then turn around and give him a small bow as the door closes and the elevator descends one last time. I speak up and question him. This is the final floor? What's so special about it? The director stands in silence for a moment, and I feel the air pressure in this small elevator ripple with heat and small amounts of yellow divine threads while he restrains himself and replies. This is the heart of not only the Apex region but the 8 Great Regions branch as a whole. The resource I am about to show you is what has granted me the ability to grow my power, and is what has kept this nation in line for decades. Silence fills the elevator as it descends further and further, almost triple the time it took to get down to the 18th floor. The director continues. There is only one other region that has a similar resource, the Vice region, but it is not nearly as plentiful as what I'm about to show you. The air pressure grows even thicker, and I begin to feel soul energy building up in the director's chest. Then, the door lets out a ding and slides open. Behind it, an underground cave made of dark black stone, with ceilings over 100 meters high comes into view. I let a weak observation aura out, and immediately I feel the presence of what the director speaks of. A massive green spinning portal rests at the back of the cave. The mana density and pressure it releases are so intense, it makes the labyrinth in Vice City and even the one back in the Canyon of Dungeons seem minuscule. The air is so thick with mana, it feels like I'm back inside the Titan's domain down here. It's both alluring and suffocating at the same time. I start to take a step forward, but another pressure hits my senses from my side as Mr. Freeman pulls a familiar blue cube from his item storage and pushes it my way, floating through the air with a contract open on it. showing the A-Class Hunter recruitment option in bright blue text. If you would like to enter the labyrinth and begin your training, we need to come to an agreement on our terms. What do you say? Will today be the day you become an A-Class Hunter? His eyes glow golden, and more yellow threads begin to seep out of his core. I see tendrils of soul energy begin to rise from his back just like the first time he tried to use his buff. The sun god's curse mark on me. It seems he's set all of this up in order to get me alone down here and give me no choice. However, he doesn't know this is exactly what I wanted to. I continue my step forward closer to the labyrinth. In the same movement, I catch the blue contract cube with my left hand, and my heart rate starts to speed up with excitement. Chapter 603. I keep walking forward, pretending not to notice a thing. The elevator door behind us closes, and I start to show more interest in the massive cave-like room we're in, while moving toward the back of it, over 100 meters away. The golden tendrils emanating from the director's back begin to reinforce themselves with countless threads of yellow divine energy as I raise a question. So this is where your labyrinth is, and you say it's where you and all the A-Class hunters have managed to grow in power. The director follows right behind me, emitting a growing pressure in the air that would easily knock out a normal ranked-up hunter by now, while he replies, "Yes, yes it is. This is where you'll find monsters above level 1000 to train with. There's no dungeon within the whole 8 great regions with monsters stronger than we have here. The association keeps them on lockdown so no dangerous individuals can reach the rank of A-Class on their own. This 20th floor may look like a natural cave, but it has been reinforced by the higher-ups in the central branch of the association as well. Even if this entire labyrinth had a violent break right now, no monsters could make it to the surface. I do some quick calculations, assuming the director trained inside this labyrinth to grow his level above 9,000. Whatever Manadense black material that reinforces these cave walls must be considered S-grade shielding. I grin beneath my concealment barrier as I continue to walk forward, and the pressure coming off the director grows so dense that most double-ranked-up hunters would fall to their knees. A wave of golden light creeps up behind me as the director continues to speak. So, what's it going to be? Will you sign the counter-contract I've provided you and make this process go over easy? Or are we going to have to do this the hard way? More and more threads flood from his core as the director channels all of his soul energy into thick tendrils of golden light curving up over his head and down toward me, poised to make a move. The pressure in the room reaches levels that should make even a normal level 2000 hunter become lightheaded, but I don't bat an eye. I just stare down at the new contract the director sent me on the blue crystal device and shake my head. These terms still don't suit me. I guess we will have to do this the hard way. I let out a sigh and place the blue cube into my item box while coming to a halt in the center of the dark room. The only light sources are the golden glow from the director behind me and the bright green light from the labyrinth portal in front of me. As the pressure increases even more, becoming equivalent to the yellow cord lizards I faced inside the construct, it's clear that no hunter without divine energy should still be standing. The director realizes something is not right. His voice echoes through the room. What is the meaning of this? Are you a divine core holder? Have you tried to deceive me? The sun god. At his words, I turn to face him with a sharp look in my eyes, showing that his small display of power doesn't affect me at all. He does what any wild beast caught off guard would do and stops holding back. The director of the Apex region fully accepts that there is an opponent worth releasing his full power against all at once. An aura of fear and anger ripples out from the director, but it is still layered with underlying confidence in his abilities from his decades of battle experience. The golden tendrils that erupt from him lunge forward, all aimed straight for my heart, while more and more yellow threads of divine energy flow out of his core. Mr. Freeman yells out while the pressure in the room reaches heights beyond any enemy I've ever faced before. Ray, no. That is merely a facade. Whoever you are, it doesn't matter. You will submit to my undeniable power. You will not deceive me and continue to walk free in this world. The entire dome-shaped room lights up with yellow divine energy, and my eyes track each of the yellow-gold tendrils of energy that rocket my way. It is truly an impressive sight to see and feel. The gravity in this room increases by over 100 times, and the concentrated power in all of the soul energy attacks rocketing my way are strong enough to decimate entire urban cities if they were aimed at a target outside of this room. I've never felt such pent-up rage, concentrated power, and pure selfish conviction from an enemy at any other time in my life. It feels like the director is using his near century of battle experience and concentrating it all on a single barrage of attacks without holding back. Just days ago, if this power was pushed upon me, I'd have no other instinct than to run away, not looking back at all. However, it feels like an orb of heat is bursting out of my chest with excitement and anticipation. I stare the director in the eyes while deactivating my concealment skill and divine limiter. A bright wave of yellow and white light bursts from my eyes and chest while I pull 2 blades out from my item storage. The Flame Emperor's sword erupts into flames, held tight in my right hand, while the Dark Emperor's blade permeates a black aura, gripped in my left. Silky smooth, bright yellow divine energy flows from my core in such a dense state it looks like liquid as it tethers itself deep into both of my blood-bonded weapons. My full body erupts into dark red soul energy, and it too becomes intertwined with my new bright yellow divine power. The shockwave from my reveal makes the entire underground cave shake, and the countless tendrils of golden energy piercing through the air coming my way are all shattered into dust and devoured by my aura the moment they come in contact. The pressure in the room increases multiple times over, but instead of pressing down on me, I concentrate it back on the director who was so confident just fractions of a second ago. The blast sends him flying backward instantly, slamming against the side wall of the underground cave, and I keep constant pressure pushing him up against the wall as I twirl my swords in the air and slowly walk toward him, looking like a flaming demonic entity. Is this really what you wanted? You forced my hand. I was considering becoming a member of the association again to keep an eye on you all while maintaining my disguise. If you had just accepted my offer of making me a regional director, none of this would have had to happen. My slow footsteps echo through the brightly lit cave as I walk closer. The director's master of illusions, buff wears off from the immense pressure I'm pushing on him, and the tall, mysterious man with vibrant golden eyes disappears to reveal his true form as bright as day. An old, sickly man with deteriorating flesh is pressed up against the black mana-shielded wall. His overinflated core still spins, cycling the decades' worth of yellow divine energy within it, and his eyes are still stern, focused on me despite his troubled state. He whispers out a reply. How a true core? Why? Are you from the central branch? What have I done wrong? He grits his teeth while his flesh continues to fade away, and I reply while walking closer and closer, shaking my head. This book's true home is on another platform. Check it out there for the real experience. What have you done wrong? Many things. A man like you has sat atop this world for decades. I'm surprised you haven't learned your lesson until now. A man that tries to build a kingdom only through fear and being undeniably stronger than his subordinates is destined to fail when a ruler stronger than him challenges the throne. With every step I take toward him, my aura gets closer and denser, speeding up his body's decay as it can't handle the pure silky threads that constantly circulate through me and out into the atmosphere. I'm not even in my greater form, and none of my buffs or skills are even activated. I'm completely overpowering this yellow cord being with my presence alone. I stop about 10 meters away so he can still hear me, and so I don't obliterate him out of existence by accident. He's the one that musters a long-winded reply to my words, muttering to himself and coughing between words as his organs begin to dissolve under the pressure of my aura. You must be from Central, a young, naive one they managed to awaken and sent over to replace me. That's it, isn't it? A shame. This was all for the greater good. So what if I used my power to keep everyone in line? That's what you all do anyways. A bunch of hypocrites you are. So much for preserving honor among the council. Rule number 3 was to never kill or order a hit on any of the 10 powerhouse nations' leaders. This is because of my failed mission into the Dark Continent, isn't it? This is the exception to the rule. Is this a private attack or a unanimous decision from the other 9? This is all that Flame Emperor's fault. I had a plan to take him out. I really did. A wave of anger and disgust washes out of him as I try to make sense of his words. The director still doesn't know who I am. He believes I'm a plant from another nation. He's spewing words about a council of leaders and other true cores, but it's clear he doesn't have much time left. I let out a sigh and shake my head. The greater good? How can you call your reign of tyranny all for the greater good when you're not doing good every step along the way? Some citizens in the 8 great regions may have a better life because of you, sure, but what about all of the men and women exiled to the Dark Continent? What about the countless hunters silenced and killed by higher-ups' orders when they grow too fast for your liking? What about the talented hunters you force to wear your golden collars and bend their minds to not even understand their own thoughts inside their heads? What about draining the life force from countless healers just to preserve your own? This is what you call building a kingdom for the greater good. My aura grows in density as I let my soul energy flames grow larger and larger, flickering and raising the room temperature by hundreds of degrees every second that passes. And no, I'm not from the Central Branch. I'm the Flame Emperor. So yes, technically I am still the one that has ruined all your plans. You may believe I am evil, and that's okay. My enemies may hate me for various reasons, but your kingdom is better off in the hands of a leader like myself who has followers that not only benefit from serving me, but choose to fight by my side with their own free will. I grow into my greater form as I feel the director's will and unbreakable confidence finally begin to dissolve at the same rate as the rest of his flesh. The golden eyes that stared down at every single citizen in the 8 great regions finally realize that his decades of reign have come to an end. He is unable to even pry himself off the wall, and there is no one capable of saving him. The manifestation of my greater form holding 2 impossibly large swords towers over him. One erupts with flame so bright, the room is completely enveloped in its light, and the other is so dark and ominous as it drains the thick air of all of the remaining mana that leaks out from the labyrinth and S-grade shielding. I let a final wave of telepathy rush into the depths of this man's fading psyche. I win, and it was nowhere near the challenge I was seeking. For a self-proclaimed god, you were quite a disappointing fight. Then, I thrust both of my greater form's swords into his chest and pierced right through his divine core, shattering it into pieces, and plunging both blades deep into the black wall behind him. There's an eruption of mana from the S-grade shielding breaking apart and a rush of energy streaming into myself as the director's body explodes into pieces with his core. I hear hundreds of notifications go off in my inner ear and feel all of the yellow divine threads from the director's shattered core seep out of his scattered remains. The yellow energy flows through by aura and is channeled into both of my swords, down my arms, and right into my own true core, capturing 100% of his divine power without missing a single thread. Power surges through me as the entire room shakes and ripples with energy, and I feel my own abilities grow by an extremely noticeable amount in mere fractions of a second. The notifications keep ringing over and over in my mind. Level up X 1159. Use absorption. Stat mental strength. Points 3,955. Yes. No. Use absorption. MCP 10, 394, 789, 834001. Yes. No. Use absorption. Skill. Combat magic. Superior light summoning. Yes. No. Use absorption. Buff. Master of illusion hidden ability. Yes. No. I choose yes to every notification, then pull both blades out of the wall and let the remains of the director fall onto the ground. Post-chapter status update. Status open. Name, J. Soch. Level, 4,246. HP, 21235/21235. MP, 21235/21235. Strength, 19,011, plus 61025, plus 85740, plus 92013, plus 77565, plus 61025, plus 142963, plus 117108, plus 92203, plus 172050, plus 9506, plus 19011, plus 87831, plus 47528, plus 47528, plus 76044. Total strength, 1,208,151. Speed, 15,339, plus 52153, plus 46170, plus 87279, plus 62737, plus 52459, plus 90653, plus 76542, plus 108447, plus 61970, plus 103078, plus 7670, plus 15339, plus 83751, plus 38348, plus 38348, plus 61356. Total speed, 1001, 639. Agility, 15,453, plus 52231, plus 50068, plus 79892, plus 63666, plus 50222, plus 90400, plus 78038, plus 127333, plus 63666, plus 92563, plus 7727, plus 15453, plus 74947, plus 38633, plus 61812. Total agility, 962,104. Defense, 12,142, plus 35819, plus 59253, plus 46868, plus 45775, plus 39219, plus 61196, plus 84265, plus 60467, plus 71638, plus 6071, plus 12142, plus 55732, plus 48568. Total defense, 639,155. Mental strength, 22,864 plus 93285, plus 90313, plus 91456, plus 89170, plus 88026, plus 146558, plus 132383, plus 206005, plus 106775, plus 164164, plus 11432, plus 22864, plus 118893, plus 57160, plus 57160, plus 91456. Total mental strength, 1,589,964. Skills. Absorption, mythic grade. Swordsmanship, mythic grade. Combat magic, extreme fire summoning. Inspect, mythic grade. Enemy detection, mythic grade. Body hardening, mythic grade. Self-regeneration, mythic grade. Spatial magic, item storage. Plunderer, mythic grade. Telekinesis, mythic grade. Appraisal, mythic grade. Conceal, mythic grade. Berserker, mythic grade. Dungeon Walker, legendary grade. Intimidation, mythic grade. Dagger Mastery, mythic grade. Stealth, mythic grade. Bloodlust, mythic grade. Equivalent exchange. Combat magic, extreme wind summoning. All-Seeing Eye, Extreme Strength, Mythic Grade, Dual-Wielding Mythic Grade, Telepathy, Legendary Grade, Final Breath, Mythic Grade, Combat Magic, Extreme Earth Summoning, Combat Magic, Extreme Mana Manipulation, Life Steal, Mythic Grade, Hibernation, Special Grade, Combat Magic, Advanced Demonic Energy Manipulation, Combat Magic, Extreme Ice Summoning, Body Double, Legendary Grade, Lie Detector, Legendary Grade, Hush, Mythic Grade, Craftsmanship, Mythic Grade, Extreme Speed, Mythic Grade, Combat Magic, Extreme Water Summoning, Screech, Mythic Grade, Phantom Step, Mythic Grade, Flare, Mythic Grade, Confusion, Mythic Grade, Blast, Mythic Grade, Bind, Legendary Grade, Bloodweaver, Legendary Grade, Poison Mist, Mythic Grade, Iron Fist, Mythic Grade, Extreme Stamina, Mythic Grade, Combat Magic, Extreme Lightning Summoning, Combat Magic, Superior Dark Summoning, Blink, Mythic Grade, Cocoon, Mythic Grade, Imbuement, Mythic Grade, Barrier Creation, Mythic Grade, Flight, Mythic Grade, Area Buff, Mythic Grade, Mind Palace, Mythic Grade, Astral Spears, Mythic Grade, Flash Step, Mythic Grade, Call of the Void, Mythic Grade, Crystal Creation, Mythic Grade, Heavy Hand, Mythic Grade, Combat Magic, Superior Light Summoning. Items equipped. 15 slots available post-second rank up. Current items equipped. Platinum Ring of Visual Manipulation, Blood Bonded, plus 408% Mental Strength, plus 340% Speed, plus 338% Agility, plus 321% Strength, plus 295% Defense, plus 137% Perception. Illusion Attribute. The Behemoth's Platinum Amulet, Blood Bonded, plus 488% Defense, plus 451% Strength, plus 395% Mental Strength, plus 324% Agility, plus 301% Speed. Hardening Attribute. Enchanted Boots of Extreme Speed, Blood Bonded, plus 569% Speed, plus 517% Agility, plus 484% Strength, plus 400% Mental Strength, plus 386% Defense. Wind Attribute. Enchanted Ice Serpent's Pendant, Blood Bonded, plus 412% Agility, plus 409% Speed, plus 408% Strength, plus 390% Mental Strength, plus 383% Magic Resistance, plus 381% Ice Magic Resistance, plus 377% Defense. A Ice Attribute. Platinum Ring of the Blue Ogre King, Blood Bonded, plus 385% Mental Strength, plus 342% Speed, plus 325% Agility, plus 323% Defense, plus 321% Strength. The Flame Emperor's Sword, Blood Bonded, Advanced Fire Aspect, plus 752% Strength, plus 641% Mental Strength, plus 504% Defense, plus 591% Speed, plus 585% Agility. Berserker King's Armor Set, Blood Bonded, plus 694% Defense, plus 616% Strength, plus 579% Mental Strength, plus 505% Agility, plus 499% Speed. Hardening Attribute. Earth Attribute. Cloak of Total Darkness, plus 901% Mental Strength, plus 824% Agility, plus 707% Speed, plus 360% Perception. Blood Bonded. Hidden Passive Ability. Concealment Attribute. Dark Attribute. Enchanted Lightweight Gauntlets, Blood Bonded, plus 498% Defense, plus 485% Strength, plus 467% mental strength, plus 412% agility, plus 404% speed. Hardening attribute, earth attribute, fire attribute. The Dark Emperor's Blade, plus 905% strength, plus 718% mental strength, plus 672% speed, plus 599% agility, plus 590% defense. Blood Bonded, Dark Attribute, Hidden Ability, Greater Demon's Core, plus 50% all stats. Archdemon's Core, plus 100% all stats. Ring of the Divine, Hidden Ability, Celia's Purple Core, Living Ring Artifact, Divine Limiter, Hidden Ability. Final slot, 15th, Frowny Face Interchangeable, Storm King's Dagger Set, Blood Bonded, plus 546% speed, plus 520% mental strength, plus 485% agility, plus 462% strength, plus 459% defense. Lightning Attribute, Wind Attribute, Midnight Dagger. Skill buffs, Berserker plus 250% strength plus mental strength. Bloodlust plus 250% speed plus agility plus mental strength, plus 100% perception. Extreme Strength plus 250% strength. Extreme Speed plus 250% speed. Final Breath, plus 400% all stats. Exact percent will vary. Conditions vs circumstances apply. Permanent buffs. Rising Emperor's Domain. Hidden Ability. Passive. Rising Emperor's Greater Form. Hidden Ability. Active. Master of Illusion. Hidden Ability. Chapter 604. All over the globe, 9 silver devices ping simultaneously. Some are locked away in item boxes and magical storage vaults, while others are worn around strong hunters' wrists and necks like ornaments. Every one of them sends the same signal. A flashing yellow light among 9 other lights that glow brightly. Some of the lights are a dim yellow, just like the one that is blinking, while others vary in brightness. Some are so bright they almost shimmer white. The dull yellow light that blinks flickers and fades away, signifying that one of the 10 members of this mysterious group of leaders has perished from this world. The first leader to witness this phenomenon is a woman with long black hair, flying high over a dangerous volcanic region on the back of a monstrous earth dragon. She looks down at the small device, rubbing her pointer finger over the dull, clear crystal that once glowed with yellow luminosity, and curses under her breath. That idiot, picking a fight with an opponent he clearly couldn't defeat. She presses one of the strongest glowing crystals on the device next. It glows bright yellow-white, matching the color of her core and the dragon she flies on, and she speaks again. It seems the old man, Mr. Freeman, met his end. I take it none of you were incompetent enough to break our ceasefire pact. She clicks her tongue and takes her finger off the glowing crystals as her dragon flaps its wings, and they soar further throughout the volcanic lands. Everything is silent for a few seconds, other than the flow of lava and eruptions a few kilometers below her. However, this moment of silence is broken by a yell back through the device as one of the other strongly lit lights shimmers and projects the clear audio of a grumpy man. Raven? Is that you? Who are you calling old? He was hardly a day past 70. I'm almost twice his age and have more fight in me than he ever did. He must have died in a desperate attempt to ascend to a true core before his body failed him. The voice stops coming through, and the woman stares down at the device with a grin on her face, amused that the old man took offense to her words. She's about to press her own button to respond, but one of the other strong yellow-white crystals flickers, signifying that its recipient has pressed it on the other end. She waits patiently for 5 seconds, but no voice comes out, and the crystal returns to its resting state, implying the person on the other end decided not to say a word. Raven presses her button and speaks back to the man who actually answered her call with a snarky tone, ignoring the lurker that didn't speak. Nice to hear your voice too, Mr. Redgrave. I hope Central Headquarters is treating you well. Your guess on how the 8 Great Regions branch leader died would have been my assumption too. However, there is a growing power in the Dark Continent that I presume ended the director. All my sources tell me he goes by the title of the Flame Emperor. She chuckles to herself while keeping her finger on the crystal for a few extra seconds for all to hear, then changes her direction in the air, slowly starting to turn toward the north, anticipating the angry yell back through the silver device from the man on the other side. Well, then this changes everything. Mr. Freeman may have been stubborn and suffering from a slower cultivation rate, but he wasn't weak. Whoever this rogue force is, they must be taken out. While we have no rules stating that a fallen council member of the Order must be avenged, I would hate to let a force like this continue to grow and potentially harm one of our remaining 9 members before the fight for the throne. He is silent for a few seconds but adds a remark. You are the closest true core to the 8 great regions, so I hope you will get it done. If not, I will make sure this is dealt with myself in due time. After all, if he is not slain, many may question my title as the strongest fire wielder in the world. His crystal reverts back to its natural state again, and Raven keeps flying through the sky on her dragon in silence, thinking over the man's words. What he says is true. The council members of the Order all signed a pact to never kill or cripple each other until the throne to claim this world awakened. Find this and other great novels on the author's preferred platform. Support original creators. Rogue forces are no one's responsibility to take care of, but over the decades, they have been silently given the unspoken task to the nation leader closest to the threat. It isn't frowned upon to ignore growing powers, but if that power were to attack another member of the Order when they could have been nipped in the bud, beings in this world that seek immortality are not ones to forget and often hold a grudge. These thoughts race through the black-haired woman's mind as the same crystal that entered the conversation and silently eavesdropped shimmers again, showing that they're ready to speak. The same silence comes out for 10 full seconds before the faint sound of a heavy breath transmits through. Raven soars through the air and activates her stealth ability, making herself and her dragon disappear in the sky as she rockets over black military base buildings. Over a full minute passes with a few more heavy breaths before the person on the other end of the line finally speaks in an eccentric style. His words are offbeat and go up and down in varying tones, making it hard to understand what the voice is really thinking. Oh, please don't kill him. I want you to capture him alive and bring him to me. He will be the muse I need to finally complete my collection. And bring me back my white dragon while you're in the Apex region. There's no reason for a dead man to keep such fine art. 200 yellow fragments. That is what I'll pay for your help. The crystal clicks off, and Raven rolls her eyes while pressing her crystal and letting out a sigh for everyone on the line to hear. Don't get your hopes up. I'm on my way over to survey the area now. Until I find out what really happened, I'm not promising anything to either of you. If anyone else is still listening, don't bother contacting me. I'm going dark. I'll only open up this line again if I have something important to share once my survey is complete. She lifts her finger from the device and throws it away into an item box on her waist. Then her speed to the north increases. Meanwhile, underground in the Apex region, I power down my greater form and stop my true core's full aura from fully activating and shattering all of the shielding in this base to bits. My blades have already cut through a portion of the black walls, releasing large amounts of mana. If I cut just 5 meters deeper, there would be a crack that shatters all the way through, and my aura would most likely accidentally kill everyone in this entire city. I power down and let all the remains and shattered gear from the deceased director's body fall into my item storage, then put away my swords into the white spatial magic too. The heat and pressure in the room cool down as I retract my aura back into my purple limiter. But that doesn't cancel out the fact that new divine energy is rushing through my core. Whenever I killed yellow-cored lizards inside the construct, their energy was never instantly consumed like this. It's unclear to me if this is normal for true cores or a unique property of mine alone. Either way, everything about this situation excites me and floods my senses with endorphins. I let out a long exhale of satisfaction and happiness as the reality of what just happened rushes through me. The fact that really sinks in is that I just killed the strongest man in all of the 8 great regions and Dark Continent combined. There is no one who can stop me from taking over all of the trade routes and association-run businesses right now. I activate my mythic grade concealment, new superior light magic, and new buff Master of Illusion altogether to pulse outward with a very strange aura. Nothing physically changes, but the light particles in the air are altered and twisted, making for an interesting display of power. It feels and looks very similar to Bree's ranked up buff, allowing her to create a small pocket of space that looks and feels like any illusion she desires. However, I'm far more powerful than that and have even more skills and buffs at my disposal. I bend the perception of myself to look, sound, and feel just like the man I killed. An aura matching his confidence, greed, and selfishness permeates from me, and if I walked up to myself just minutes ago with this same disguise on, I'm unsure if I could tell the difference. I smile wide beneath my disguise of golden glowing eyes, unnaturally tall stature, and dark shadowy robes as I walk toward the green spinning labyrinth portal that still emanates mana after this violent exchange. The shielding near the labyrinth portal bends under its weight, and my curiosity for how high this labyrinth's floors climb simmer in the back of my mind. However, once I step through and make sure my dungeon walker skill logs and saves the location of the first floor, I turn back around and leave. A body double can do that work once I return with good news, for right in this moment, I still have lots of work to do in the Apex region before I can leave. I flash step across the room and enter the elevator, pressing the 18th floor button to bring myself to the A-class training rooms next. It's been less than a minute since the director died, but his slaves that have been chained down with golden collars for years must finally be realizing their thoughts have not been their own. As the door opens with a ding, and I peer into the 2 training rooms with my sun god disguise fully activated, I see many eyes turn toward me. Flashbacks of the golden-collared prisoners crying and screaming with mixed emotions once I freed them back in the Dark Continent repeat in my mind as I take in the scene before me. The newest 3 A-class hunters that greeted me today at the Apex region are very confused, standing in a triangle in the middle of their training room. At the opposite side of the floor, the woman healer who always looked uninterested in everything around her, dead tired and bored of the world, is crying with joy on the mana-shielded ground. The wind and fire users who are A-class hunters both stare at me with angry stances, their red cores fully activated, making the high A-grade mana shielding in the room quiver. However, I'm not worried or necessarily interested in any of them. My gaze locks onto Rodrigo's as he feels his neck and looks toward me, coming to the realization that maybe the man behind these golden eyes isn't the same one that left this room moments ago. Chapter 605. Despite locking eyes with Rodrigo, the voices that yell the loudest throughout the room are the fire and wind users who radiate bright red divine energy. What is the meaning of this? My life has been a lie. My mind, the wind user shouts out, now fully missing his hand and leg due to the lack of borrowed golden soul energy available to him. I gave over a decade to this damn association, and still you continuously manipulated all of us. Why are you even letting us in on your secret now? Why not just kill us? The fire user, missing both of his arms, shouts out while red divine energy grows around him. He looks over to the other side of the 18th floor to the newest recruits from the B-class exams. Are those our replacements? Is this how it ends? Are we just being discarded after losing one battle in the Dark Continent? Is this? I don't let him speak any further, activating my skill Heavy Hand, and exerting a force of pure mana alone to easily overpower both of the high-level A-class hunters' divine auras. In just fractions of a second, both of the men are pressed chest and face first against the training room floor as I walk forward and let the elevator close behind me. All eyes are on me, the manifestation of the unbeatable sun god who has taken over the 8 great regions and ruled for decades with no mercy for his enemies or even his own people who served beneath him. The sounds of bones cracking under the gravity of my mana from the 2 strongest A-class hunters on this continent are more than enough deterrent for anyone else in the room to speak up as I walk up to both of them and stare down at the floor where they're pressed for a full 10 seconds. I finally speak up in a static monotone voice. There will be some changes made in this branch of the association soon. You have been loyal hunters, so I wanted to show you the truth. I keep the pressure pushing down on them steady, but reach into my item storage and pull out 2 mythic-grade self-regeneration potions and gently place them on the floor in front of both of them using telekinesis. Drink these and continue your training. I turn to everyone else in the room. That goes for all of you. Just because you know the truth doesn't mean I can't track you down to any region or continent you try to flee to. Business continues as usual until I say so. If there are any complaints, you can talk to me directly and see how that ends for you. I let the pressure of my heavy hand skill fade, and the two A-class hunters slowly get up and examine the potions while I make a hand motion toward Rodrigo, who still stares at me with confusion in his gaze. You come with me. I need a meeting with you alone. He quickly nods and follows as I leave the awestruck room to get back in the elevator. As Rodrigo walks in and the doors begin to close after I press floor 19, the sight of the two A-class hunters' limbs growing back is the last thing we see while riding down to the lounge floor below us in silence. He doesn't say a word, for fear of being wrong about his assumptions, and I admire him for staying safe and not jumping to conclusions because it's what I would do in the same situation. Once the door opens again and I walk forward into the lounge area, I'm greeted by the two nurses with glowing white hands approaching me, ready to heal the director, but I shake my head. No, thank you. Please take the rest of the day off, you two. I have some important meetings to attend to. Their eyes widen with surprise as I motion for them to take the elevator upstairs, wondering if this is some kind of test. But once Rodrigo and I walk past them and toward one of the high-grade mana-shielded private rooms, they realize I'm being serious. Did you know this story is from Royal Road? Read the official version for free and support the author. As the private room's door clicks open and we walk inside, both of the nurses power down their soft healing skills and ride the elevator upstairs with relief written all over their faces. I walk into the center of the dimly lit mana-shielded lounge room, filled with mana-dense air, a full bar, artwork, and exquisite black furniture. Rodrigo closes the door behind us, and I put up a mythic-grade hush barrier mixed with a layer of my Master of Illusion buff to create a veil of audio and visual blockage that no one on this entire continent could break through. It is a necessary precaution just in case there are secret monitoring devices in here. Then, I let my appearance revert back to its completely natural state. Nice to finally meet you face to face without that collar on. I hope this is a good enough thank you for getting me into the B-class exams. I grin, cross my arms, and sit back on the comfortable couch behind me while I watch the state of shock, happiness, and utter awe ripple through Rodrigo. His eyes are wide, and his thoughts are racing at 1,000 beats per second. The only thing he manages to muster out is, Jay? It's you? You really did it? The director, I nod and cut him off while pointing to a seat across the room. He's dead. The 8 great regions are now under new rule. Please take a seat. We have a lot to talk about. Still, a state of shock and disbelief is plastered on the face of the brother of my trade partner. Not long ago, he warned me not to even look at Mr. Freeman the wrong way. I could tell he only got us into the exams as a personal favor to Bree. The fact that I passed, managed to not fall under the director's curse, and in the end, killed the Apex Region's director. This result is the furthest thing from his initial expectations. I continue as he's frozen with his mouth open and speechless. You are the only one in the association who knows, and I hope to keep it that way. There is already widespread respect and order held by the Apex Region's name alone. Even if that is temporarily fear-driven, it's best to keep it going. Announcing that the leader of all directors has been killed by a rogue force from the Dark Continent will only spread panic. This plan has already been implemented and proven to work once, back in Valor City. After defeating the Lich King, the entire city could have been informed that their dark guards and mysterious leader is no more. But it is better to keep the citizens happy and in a routine they're accustomed to. Breaking unconventional news to hundreds of thousands of people can result in unpredictable outcomes. It's best to exploit a system that is already in place, slowly changing it to my liking over time rather than attempting anything drastic and rushed. This realization creeps into Rodrigo's mind as I sit back and breathe in the mana-dense air, enjoying the silence and patiently waiting for a response from the baffled A-class hunter. That makes sense. I have no idea how you managed this. He touches his neck, pausing for a moment before continuing. But it's really done. No more mindlessly following orders, filing paperwork for hours every day, answering to the other directors like a dog, and proctoring exams year after year. I'm finally free. He smiles and looks me in the eyes, accepting this reality. Then he taps his finger on his knee nervously, realizing something. Well, not yet. Just because you can fool a few A-class hunters here doesn't mean you're out of the woods yet. I raise an eyebrow. What do you mean? He stands up and pulls a silver tablet from his item box. Mr. Freeman used to do deals with a few other nations occasionally, other strong powers that had a similar yellow-golden energy as his own, and not to mention, dealing with the regional directors within this nation. The director was a busy man. Believe it or not, he is the glue that holds these 8 regions together. Rodrigo begins pacing around the room, tapping on his tablet while nodding, smiling, and continuing to speak. Lucky for you, I was his mindless right-hand man for nearly a decade. I don't think he ever expected I'd be free of his curse, and quite frankly, neither did I. However, if there's anyone that has the insight to keep this nation running, it would be me. My eyes light up with excitement as Rodrigo says the words I was thinking to myself without even having to say them out loud. Over the next 45 minutes, Rodrigo and I talk back and forth, devising a plan together to keep the 8 great regions running as usual, expanding it even further into the Dark Continent to merge the 2 nations, and how to properly deal with the ongoing trade agreements, regional directors, and association-run businesses. With his knowledge of the land and inner workings of this nation, and my power to replace the sun god's presence while simultaneously backing it with enough power to truly become this nation's leader, all of the puzzle pieces to my plan fall into place. Everything being outlined now is being written down, and I plan to have it analyzed by my teammates and close business partners. I stand up from my seat and pull 2 transport crystals out from my item storage, tossing one to Rodrigo. This is a good start. I'm glad I came to you first. However, I'm sure there's a whole lot more on your mind than just my own personal goals of expanding my empire. How about we go for a trip and get a second opinion? When's the last time you talked to your sister? Chapter 606. Both of the teleport crystals are crushed in our fists, and we're brought to the Crimson City. My double greets us beneath the Guildhall, keeping guard over the last remaining isolation pod that's healing Ember. Back so soon. He locks eyes with Rodrigo, then looks back at me before continuing. It appears everything went exactly as expected. He didn't take the deal. I smirk and reply while leading Rodrigo to the stairway upstairs. No, he didn't. I'm the one making the deals now. Once we reach the ground floor, another normal day in the Crimson City Guildhall is playing out. Dozens of hunters are walking in and out, buying, selling, and commissioning gear and magical loot. All of the workers greet us as we make our way to the second floor, and as we walk through the tables of craftsmen leading to Bree's office, I motion for Rodrigo to knock on the closed door at the back of the room. There are 3 knocks and a moment of silence before the door opens and Bree locks eyes with Rodrigo. It feels as if the world has stopped in time as I watch from the back of the room with my arms crossed and a thin grin. Memories of my first time meeting Bree, when she crafted my Flame Emperor's sword, feel like a lifetime ago. It was right before my C-class exams, where I met Rodrigo as a proctor and got a taste of what real power in this world of hunters was like. Back then, I knew there was an odd tension between a sister being a black market merchant and a brother working as an A-class hunter for one of the strongest nations in the world. However, I never expected the roots of their problems to run so deep or for everything to come full circle and be resolved like this. Both of their eyes widen as Rodrigo's lips move to say, "I'm free." The siblings jump forward to hug each other tight and begin to cry, making a scene that has all heads in the room turning their way. They don't even notice the eyes on them, and the room doesn't dare break up this moment. I only entered their lives less than a year ago. There must be decades of sour memories dealing with the association that I have no knowledge of. It makes me happy to see Bree smile with such genuine joy. She's usually very focused on business. I've never seen this side of her before. I don't want to ruin their moment, so I, too, stay silent like all the other workers in the room until they finally release their grip after a full minute passes. Still, it doesn't seem like the right time to go over my own personal goals when this is most likely the first time they've had a candid conversation since childhood. The plans I made with Rodrigo beneath the Apex region can wait. I nod and let a weak wave of telepathy hit both of them. I'm happy I could keep my word and bring you two together again. Enjoy each other's presence. Please, take as much time as you want. Then, without waiting for a response, I walk back down the Guildhall stairs to the main hall with a smile on my face while they hug again. I walk out the front door, doing a full scan of the city and surrounding desert moments later. A wave of telepathy reaches the body double that is keeping watch over the city, and it deactivates itself. I respawn a new one right in front of me that has the updated memories of today's events, and it flies off in the direction of the Canyon of Dungeons to explore the Apex Region's labyrinth and create dungeon walker points for me on every floor. While it goes off to do that, I fly outside the Crimson Dome and make my way far out into the desert to meet with the Lich King and my 4 teammates, who sit in a circle of Abby's restoration magic while slowly refining orange divine energy. Unauthorized use. This story is on Amazon without permission from the author. Report any sightings. They're extremely focused on not being torn to shreds by the violent threads. I remember the orange fragments were far more violent and painful than the red ones back when I consumed them in the construct. The only one who greets me upon my return is the Lich King. Quite the quick return. Do you bring good news or bad news? I let out a sigh and touched down on the desert ground beside him, taking in the view of 4 orange-red auras bending reality before us. Well, the bad news is I'll be losing a very useful shadow summon, but the good news is the director has been taken care of. Thanks to your help in awakening my true core, I am now the secret underground leader of the 8 great regions. These words make the eyes of all 4 of my teammates open with surprise. Even though they were peacefully cultivating, such a crazy statement broke them out of their trance-like state. I smile and raise both of my hands in the air, opening up my item storage and allowing all of the trapped soul energy that I absorbed from the Lich King when I killed him to escape from eternal suspended animation and be free into the universe again. I'm a man of my word, so, if it is your wish to die, I'll grant it now. It takes well over half a minute for the copious fumes of soul energy to dissolve into the air, and the Lich King responds. It is my wish to die. I will wake up in another 50 years on a planet far from here, in a growing world once it is newly connected to the system. I will have to try my luck in a new era. So I do wish you success here on this human world. Maybe we will meet again one day. However, we are even, so don't expect any more favors. This galaxy is at war. In the grand scheme of things, I am still your enemy. I let out a chuckle while activating my dark magic, creating a jet-black summoning circle beneath him, and begin deactivating the ritual to let his remains truly disappear. As the circle grows and his shadow form ripples, he points to my hand, specifically the silver ring of the divine on my finger next to Celia's purple ring artifact. That is part of my being as well. I'm sorry to say you won't be able to keep it as a prize. Maybe one day, you'll receive one to truly call your own. I sense a final curious and amused aura coming from the Lich King as the ritual continues to reverse. The resentment and ominous feeling he had when I showed no signs of ever letting him go are gone, but I still believe his words that he views me as an enemy. If we meet again in 50 years' time, I have no doubt he'll try to attack me with just as much killing intent as he did when we first met, his dark army against my crimson troops. I can't help but smile as the shadows cover his being, then disappear into black fading mist in the light breeze, and his mana control, presence, and status leave my senses. At the same time, the silver ring on my finger fades away too. I was hoping that it would be useful to me one day, allowing me to be summoned in place of the Lich King by accident, but it seems I can't cheat my way to becoming a divine beast. Like his final words to me said, I'll have to get one for myself. The desert is filled with silence, and I turn to admire my teammates continuing their divine energy cultivation. After the initial shock of them overhearing that I killed the Apex Region's director, most of them closed their eyes again, but Maria's eyes remain wide. I open a telepathy channel with all 5 of us in it, and she sends a message through to me for all to hear. So what does this mean for the Dark Continent? Will the exiles be allowed back into the 8 great nations? If you make the rules, this entire abandoned nation could be connected to many more resources and grow faster to help hundreds of thousands here to live in better conditions. I nod and respond. Slowly, yes, the nations will merge, but the assimilation needs to be natural. Citizens still have preconceived resentment for Dark Continent exiles. We'll need to change public perception over time. Growing the Flame Emperor's name and disguising the merge as a trade deal with the Crimson City will be the first stage of my plan. Maria smirks and nods, closing her eyes again to keep her heart rate and breathing steady, while the orange threads tear her body apart over and over again. Abby's right eye opens halfway and meets mine as she musters out a short message while maintaining her own regeneration and simultaneously healing everyone here. What about the other nations? I don't doubt your abilities to conceal yourself and impersonate the director, but they must have fail-safes in place in case something like this were to happen. All it takes is one person to notice. What will be the plan then? Are you prepared to take on the entire world? As I think of a response to her words in the far edges of my perception, I feel an oddity far to the south. It's in the direction of the volcanic region that I sensed vaguely when I first awakened my true core. It's hard to make out exactly what it is. The distance is too far, but it feels like two large masses of gravity are flying through the air at incredible speed. My intuition is telling me the possibility that Abby just pointed out may be coming true faster than I imagined it would. Chapter 607. I turn my head in the direction of the odd presence that pressures the back of my mind, but I don't activate my full perception skills and buffs because I'm too close to my teammates and the Crimson City to risk letting out that much power. Instead, I calmly look back toward Abby, who posed the question, and nod. You're right. We'll have to prepare for that possibility if it comes. My head turns back toward the south, and a notification hits my inner ear. Skill transfer to main body. Complete. Echo. Mythic grade. I raise an eyebrow at the fact that I just received a new skill out of nowhere, but then more notifications hit my inner ear seconds later. They're all small MCP transfer notifications for just a few thousand MCP at a time. I pull up the new skill description and find that it is similar to a mix between my body double skill and the Sun God's buff, Master of Illusion. I'm able to create a lifelike image of myself that acts like a body double. However, it is nothing but an illusion. Cannot physically interact with the world around it, but it has far greater range than the Master of Illusion buff or my light magic. I can't think of a good use for this skill right now, but a grin comes onto my face as these notifications tell me my body double has begun climbing the labyrinth in the apex region. I levitate into the air while speaking up to the 4 teammates bending the sand with orange threads for hundreds of meters in all directions. We have unknown visitors from the south, but don't worry, I'll handle it. Continue your training. We might need to use this new power sooner than I thought. Then, I fly away, headed south while small MCP gain notifications ring in my head repeatedly. The sand below me zips by as I gain altitude and I focus on the vague pressure pulsing in the back of my perception. No readings show up in my status or skills, but the heavy gravity in the back of my mind keeps getting closer. The eerie feeling that two beings with immense power are coming my way won't shake from my psyche. I finally get a few dozen kilometers away from my teammates, high in the air, far enough that I'm comfortable letting more of my aura leak out from my purple limiter, and even activate my greater form to improve the range of my perception to get a better view of what exactly is coming my way at such incredible speed. As the wisps of divine energy flow out of my true core and tether to my buff to create a bright yellow greater form of me as I fly through the air, a ripple of divine perception soars out to the south, and I see the volcanic region that I vaguely felt before in so much more detail. With my level rising by over 1,000 after defeating the director, and the steep climb in divine threads in my core after consuming every last drop of his power that he cultivated over the decades, I'm able to feel the difference in power even from just this morning when I awakened my true core. An endless landscape of black mountains, flowing lava, erupting volcanoes, and thousands of dungeons are scattered around the land. In this pulse of surveillance, I watch as there are dozens of dungeons breaking, and the air quality in this region is almost 2 times as dense with mana as the Dark Continent is. These are the first things my mind notices, but very quickly after, my aura meets the 2 gravity fields rocketing my way, and my eyes widen with surprise once I see a clear image of what's flying toward me. An enormous bronze dragon flaps its wings, flying through the air high above active volcanoes. The sun glistens against its scales, and the monstrous creature's pointed tail gracefully flows back and forth behind it. The creature status shows a superior earth summoning skill, and ALV 9722, in bright blue text that burns into the back of my mind. You could be reading stolen content. Head to Royal Road for the genuine story. The fact that there is a living dragon outside of a labyrinth isn't what shocks me most. It's the fact that in the center of its chest as it flaps its wings, a bright white and yellow true core bends space around it, showing me that this is exactly what I sensed with my intuition a few minutes ago. Its level is not much higher than the Apex Region Director's was, but their divine core strength is worlds apart. This is a true monster. That old man was a sorry excuse of a divine energy wielder. The pulse of aura continues past the point I was trying to examine, and it just reveals to me how vast the volcanic region really is. Even using a focused pulse of enemy detection, I still can't see the edges of this seemingly endless nation of volcanoes, dungeons, and small pockets of military bases tucked away within the mountains. Another ring echoes in my inner ear that isn't a normal MCP edition, and my concentration from the sonar I just sent out is broken. Skill transfer to main body. Complete. Metal creation. Mythic grade. As I continue to fly forward toward the elegant dragon coming my way, I read the skill's description to find it is similar to the barrier and crystal creation skills I obtained while in the exams. It allows me to create a unique metallic material and decide its hardness based on how much mana I imbue while activating the skill. While I'm happy about the progress, one odd thing resurfaces in my mind and irks me quite a bit. Before I sent out the pulse of surveillance, I could have sworn there were two dense masses of gravity. While having to confront another true core may be dangerous enough, the fact that there may be another one that is capable of escaping my senses makes me even more curious and confused about this whole scenario. If I don't confront this mysterious dragon out here, its travel course directly collides with the Crimson City. This means if this foreign entity is looking for conflict, meeting them far away from anyone that can get hurt is the smartest thing to do, even if it puts me at a slight disadvantage. I'm not particularly fond of jumping into the fight blind, without any information on what my opponent is capable of, but I might not have a choice here. All these thoughts speed through my mind as I rocket through the air, finally getting up to speeds that match the dragon coming my way. Every minute or so, another MCP notification rings in my inner ear. My double seems to be dungeon walking through entire floors, ignoring normal mobs, and only killing the bosses to make it up to the next. The teleportation magic at the end of a boss fight is the only limitation that it is working with. If it wasn't for this small time delay on each floor, I'm sure my double would be at the top by now. My heartbeat speeds up, and all I can focus on is my crystal clear view of the bronze dragon's true core still over 2,000 kilometers away. Its calm eyes stare forward, like it's watching me fly too. There is no killing intent coming off of this mythical creature, but the mundane look in its eyes, making this seem like a simple and menial task, gives me chills. Each minute that passes, we get closer and closer. The mountain range that splits the endless sandy desert of Sector 2 and the mysterious volcanic nation draws closer to each of us. The MCP gains that echo in my mind begin to increase in value. It started at just thousands per notification when I was still on the ground. Then, less than 15 minutes ago, each notification granted me millions, meaning my double definitely made it to floors where the monsters he's fighting are ranked up. Now, over 1 billion MCP is being added to my status after every ding. Once less than 1,000 kilometers remain between myself and the dragon soaring my way. Another ding of a skill being added to my status rings in my ear. Skill transfer to main body. Complete. Spirit anchor. Mythic grade. While the name intrigues me, my eyes are laser-focused on the bronze behemoth soaring my way. Even the hundreds of billions of MCP hitting my mana control pool don't distract me as I pull out the same 2 swords I killed the sun god with just hours ago. Minutes pass and my mind becomes completely clear and focused as my speed continues to increase, preparing for any scenario to play out. My red and black blades become soaked with yellow divine energy as both of us come within 500 kilometers of each other. The mountain range that separates our nations is completely visible to my unaided eyes now, and stretches off endlessly to my left and right. I've soared so far away from civilization that no towns or living beings have even touched my perception in over 1,000 kilometers. There is no water at all out in this portion of the desert, where in the outer portions of Sector 2 and 4, some dry patches still have small shrubbery and occasional desert wildlife to support small villages. This wasteland has none. I'm so far out in the dead zone of the Dark Continent's desert, it's hard to tell if human eyes have ever seen these rolling dunes before. My heart begins to beat out of my chest, but the anticipation and excitement only turn into adrenaline as the moment comes near. There is less than 200 kilometers between myself and the only other true core I've ever known to exist in this world. Level transfer to main body. Complete. Level up X11. The tension in the air is so immense. I hardly register the fact that my double has managed to make it to floors in the Apex Region's labyrinth that are starting to level me up. I can physically feel the weight of the bronze dragon, as it makes the mountains below it bend with gravitational pressure. Even though we're both flying dozens of kilometers above the ground, avalanches and minor earthquakes form as I watch a bright yellow silky aura flow out from the dragon's core just like mine. Its entire body becomes covered in the bright divine energy. Whether it's a reaction to me unsheathing my swords and activating my divine energy on full display, or if this was the creature's initial decision to challenge me to a fight, there is no backing out now. In the next few seconds, it is inevitable that we will clash. Chapter 608. The seconds before the collision are the most intense. The entire flight over has been slightly nerve-wracking, but now that I am about to collide with a bronze earth dragon that is 5,000 levels above me, with a true core of similar strength to my own, the reality of my predicament sinks in. The air becomes thick as our silky white-yellow auras intertwine from over 20 kilometers away, exerting pressure on each other even before we physically meet. I can feel dense gravity waves emanating from this beast. They are far more concentrated, refined, and powerful than the malformed yellow core I fought this morning 2 continents away. The scope of the power I'm facing nears that of what I felt when meeting the green divine serpent in the sky. This is a monstrous force. It is a being at its prime and has refined its power to create a glistening core so mighty its beauty is awe-inspiring. The difference between my interaction with the green serpent and the bronze dragon before me now is that the power that violently cycles within my own chest, waiting to be released, feels as though it can match the incredible force approaching me. There may be a godlike entity attacking me now, but as I lift my blades above my head, I feel as though we are equals. My entire greater form grows in size and becomes far brighter as I allow my purple limiter to let every drop of mana control and divine threads through. All of my stat-boosting buffs activate, and I channel the maximum amount of soul energy into my blades. Both myself and the dragon collide at hundreds of kilometers per hour, not holding anything back. I swing both blades across my body, aiming straight for the creature's neck while preparing to make an immediate counter or dodge, not counting anything out. I know nothing about my opponent, so I'm leaving nothing up to chance. As I swing my blades downward, the world around me blurs into darkness, and all I see is the bronze dragon glowing with its yellow light. Its eyes stare into mine, and its expression doesn't change at all from the confident, yet bored look it showed when I caught it on my sonar thousands of kilometers away. It opens its mouth to show its sharp teeth and readies its talons, coating itself in mana shielding enhanced by its silky yellow divine energy. I'm ready to react to whatever attack it throws at me, but the only thing that happens is a single small hexagon of yellow light forms in the path of my blades. I don't sense any mana or chi interwoven in the thick yellow manifestation that looks like a massive floating dragon scale. If it weren't for my natural senses and looking at the hexagon with my own 2 eyes, I wouldn't even believe it was there. Nonetheless, my blades make contact with it, just meters away from the monster's neck, and the loudest, most intense noise I've ever heard echoes through the mountains and endless dunes of rolling sand. It's as if 2 entire worlds collide in the sky. Both of my swords halt in mid-air as they sink into the pure manifestation of divine energy. Out from its sides, a portion of the force put forward from both of us colliding at full speed erupts outward. The gravity waves are so intense that the mountains over 20 kilometers below us are shattered to dust and gravel just from being in our presence. More and more waves of energy ripple off the collision point while we are both stopped in midair, pushing forward with all of our strength. Stolen from its rightful author, this tale is not meant to be on Amazon. Report any sightings. A deep vibrating sound echoes out from the waves of gravity and gets more and more intense as a ball of yellow and white light forms between us at the collision point. It becomes more and more saturated as all of my power flows through my blades and the hexagon of pure divine threads summoned by the dragon gets denser and denser. No matter how much I press into this field of gravity, it feels as though it's constantly pushing back with exactly the same amount of force. There is no actual mass or base energy powering it. The sight of pure divine threads being manipulated on their own is fascinating, but I can't quite comprehend what is giving me so much trouble. It's like a reversed magnet. The harder I push down on it, the harder it repels me with equal force. However, I'm pushing so hard that I get the feeling that I'm near its breaking point. Our divine cores are extremely similar in strength. The only edge this dragon really has on me is its natural levels, size, and strength. With just a little more power, I feel like the weight of my blades could push through, but giving it my all right now, it feels more like they're sinking into a pad of rubber, and the moment I stop giving this attack everything I have, I'm going to be propelled backward. However, I can't hold on at this maximum intensity much longer. The pressure, heat, violent sounds, and light from our clash becomes absurd. Like a second sun in the sky waiting to burst. The bronze dragon takes advantage of this moment to make its second move. From within the depths of its open mouth, another pressure starts to form. There's dense soul energy that begins to form a bronze light, tethering with more and more divine threads from its core, growing very quickly. With my swords both locked right in front of its face, the attack it's about to release will be aimed right at me. I can't push any harder, as I'm using every drop of strength I have to push against this barrier. It feels as if the moment I let go, all of my force will be released back at me, but if I stay here continuing my attempt to break through, I'll be hit dead on by its secondary attack. The only thing I can do is attempt to get out of the way, so that's what I do. I lock eyes with the dragon one more time, then instead of continuing my follow-through with my swings, I take a deep breath and pull back my blades, crossing them in front of my chest in a single movement, and feel exactly what I imagined would come. All of the force that I press down on two fine single points is released back on me, creating a blinding blast of light so bright and powerful, I'm instantly sent flying backward even faster than the speed I came soaring in. Placing my swords in front of me, and activating my barrier creation mixed with divine energy-enhanced soul energy shielding, is enough to block the incoming energy, and only be pushed back by its pure mass and momentum. Instead of being released in a single point, the energy is dispersed outward more evenly, making the portion of threads that will collide with me weaker than the focus point of my strike. The massive release comes out in the shape of a half-sphere, erupting forward out from the hexagon. Its direct path is aimed toward me, but large portions of the released energy expand quickly and aim down toward the already crumbled mountain range below us. I'm using all of my strength in my new fly skill and air magic to change my flight path because out from the impossibly large explosion of divine energy, a beam of bronze-colored soul energy comes blasting out from the dragon's mouth headed my way. As it rockets toward me, yellow threads continue to tether through it and strengthen it. After flying backward tens of kilometers in a matter of seconds, I change my trajectory to begin curving out of the way. The bronze blast turned yellow-white misses me by just a few hundred meters as I finally stop my backward momentum and stay floating. With the reality-bending aura that leaks off this beam of energy, this few hundred meters of distance still feels like a near miss. My breath is heavy, my adrenaline is pumping, and the dragon that deflected my most powerful strike with ease is now flapping its wings and speeding up again, coming my way while another one of its bronze beams charges up in its mouth. I take a few fractions of a second to ready my weapons and take in the aftermath of this initial exchange. The entire mountain range below me is gone. A crater in the desert so deep and so wide was just created by our clash, that all I see below me is darkness. Just from the shockwaves and energy released from a single strike, hundreds of kilometers of open desert have been compressed, evaporated, and completely destroyed. Level transfer to main body. Complete. Level up, X49. My small moment of dead silence while taking in the view is interrupted by another level up transferred from my body double, showing that it is still climbing the labyrinth's floors. This jolting moment of clarity after the notification gives me an idea, but it will only work if I can draw this battle out a little longer while conserving my stamina. I grip my swords tighter and channel the same amount of soul energy, enhanced by my true core's bright yellow light, and look at the dragon that approaches me with its same unbothered eyes. This monster's biggest mistake was showing me its abilities and letting me live past the first strike. I grin, reactivate all of my buffs, and fly forward to take this dragon on a second time. Chapter 609. The second collision goes almost exactly as expected. Our speed on impact isn't as fast, so my strike is less powerful, but I'm more focused on keeping this dragon entertained while I figure out how to gain slightly more power and fully understand what this yellow hexagon ability is. The fact that there is no mana or chi inside the manifestation makes me believe this is some kind of unique trait that this being awakened with its true core. The Lich King said all true cores have unique attributes awakened, and I see no barrier magic or any sign of this yellow creation on the creature's status. Even now with my mythic grade appraisal and inspect skills, I'm able to see every detail of its status, down to the amount of HP remaining, and even its individual stat points. It only has one buff on its status, Earth Dragon's Roar. While I know Ember received the ability to transform into a human after his second rank up, this ability doesn't show on his status. The only one that does is the fire ability he awakened in his first rank up. I'm unsure what this monster's buff is, and if it is activated right now or not. It may very well be the bronze-colored beam that flows from its mouth after every exchange, but this could just be its innate ability. Before I start pulling out some of my own tricks, I want to know more about my opponent first. Even though a clear path to victory seems to be ahead, I'm not dropping my guard. Colliding with its divine deflective barrier a second time is much easier to navigate because I know what to expect. I aim for its torso instead of its neck and use the energy sent back from the blast strategically to dodge its incoming claws and second beam of energy. I'm only sent flying a few kilometers backward this time and hear the ringing of level up notifications in my ear while I curve out of the way and prepare for another exchange. We collide again less than a minute later, and I attack another random portion of its midsection to confirm this bright yellow hexagon can really materialize anywhere the dragon pleases. It doesn't decrease in power either. The density of the gravity wall and the speed at which it summons stay exactly the same. This is what I expected, as my levels and mana control are slowly increasing, and I believe I can defeat this monster all on my own, even without the help of my stat-sharing perk from my Rising Emperor's domain. The only thing that bugs me is the fact that its unmoving, bored eyes never change. I'm right on the outer edge of the barrier where I can make use of this buff to its full potential. When within range of my aura, I'm capable of taking 10% of all my subordinate stats and mana control, plus, after reaching 1,000 citizens and unlocking a new perk, I can obtain an additional 5% of both from anywhere in the world. While activating this right now would diminish the power gap instantly, doing so would alert the entire Crimson City that we are under attack by an opponent that needs more power than I, their leader, currently have. Coming off the recent events of the Association's attack last week, I'll only cross this line if it is necessary and the enemy before me truly has intentions to do us harm. As I clash in my fourth exchange, I realize that, in the back of my mind, I'm secretly enjoying having to fight an opponent slightly stronger than me. Every fight for the last few months since I've defeated the Lich King has been somewhat boring. Training in the growing labyrinth has only granted me levels from defeating weak mana manifestations, and even battling Divine Chord monsters in the construct during the exams had no real stakes. There was always the thought in the back of my mind that if I lost, I'd be teleported out just like everyone else. Even the strongest man in all of the 8 great regions fell to my aura alone. It wasn't a challenge, but this dragon that appeared before me is a worthy opponent. One I can take down myself and finally allow me to push the boundaries of what my true core can do. I grin wide, giving in to the rush of true battle while more level-up notifications ring in my ear, and we clash for a 5th time. The impossibly large flashes of yellow and white light fill the sky with residue from our attacks. Both of us have mythic-grade plunder skills enhanced by true cores that absorb every particle of pure mana in the atmosphere as we zip around the sky. The seconds pass, and my grin and excitement for this fight only grow more and more. By our 10th exchange, we fall into a rhythm of battle where both of us understand each other's styles, but neither of us want to test anything out that is too risky in case the other is holding back a secret technique. So the battle rages on. The gravity waves become so immense and the violent rippling down into the earth below us, making the crater deeper and wider with every single clash. This content has been misappropriated from Royal Road. Report any instances of this story if found elsewhere. My level surpassed 5,000 by our 20th collision, and the stat point gains and now trillions of MCP gains are starting to become noticeable. My heart is racing, and both my swords glide through the air like they're dancing. This exchange of power is decimating deserts and mountains for hundreds of kilometers beyond repair. But it doesn't matter to me at all. The only thing that does is making sure my next strike is stronger than the last. Not only is my strength actually rising, but my body is becoming far more accustomed to the immense power. When before it felt like I was a dam overflowing with unbelievable foreign strength, now, I'm finally able to contextualize this power and make full use of this core. I'm getting sharper and learning how to make the silky energy flow to create denser points of gravity within my own blade to push down through the hexagons of light much deeper each time. Instead of just activating my divine energy and letting it seep into my normal attacks, I'm beginning to take control of the energy itself and actually create far more deadly and concentrated strikes. The dragon stays stoic, blocking everything I throw at it, and logically maneuvering attacks back to counter. Still, there is no malice, and I'm unsure if the only reason it is fighting is because I made the first move and this is pure self-defense. Whatever the case may be, there's no turning back now, and I'm still improving my technique with every single strike I send. Whoever or whatever this being may be, I may not get another chance to battle a force this strong, so I need to make the most of it. Another 20 full exchanges go by, and I gain even more levels. Level up, X451. The dragon begins to take a more offensive and aggressive stance once it realizes my attacks are coming at it faster and harder than before. This works for a few minutes, pushing me back about 100 kilometers just by attacking and diving in faster to gain the advantage each exchange we have. However, this series of events only fuels me more. The fact that I'm getting pushed back, closer to the population I need to protect, makes me want to improve even faster. I'm in total concentration for another 20 exchanges, and my level rises even higher, and a familiar skill gets upgraded mixed in with the strings of notifications. Level up, X507. Hibernation. Mythic grade. It's a skill I received in another labyrinth a while back, and couldn't find any dungeon monsters to upgrade it. It puts a smile on my face, making me wonder if some of the other unique skills I managed to absorb in other labyrinths will be found in the future. And I continue the battle. I'm still being pushed back, but my attacks are even stronger and propel me further, another 200 kilometers closer to the Crimson City. However, there's a turning point that displays the weight of my newfound power. I put my everything into a dual blade slash, fully expecting it to be like all the others, coming so close to breaking the barrier, then getting blasted backward dozens of kilometers by my own energy. However, that paper-thin line of the strongest gravity at the center of the hexagon that has been holding me back all this time finally breaks. Mid-slash, another rush of levels and MCP flood my body, bringing me to LV 5991, and the satisfaction I gain from watching the yellow manifestation of pure divine threads break and shatter into millions of pieces makes the countless failures well worth it in this fight. It is the first time I feel any emotion or see any reaction from the bronze dragon. A small ripple of genuine surprise comes from the creature's psyche, as for the first time in this entire battle I'm the one that is on the offensive. However, the unbothered eyes and baseline of uncaring confidence is still the dragon's overarching emotion. It only has fractions of a second to try to react, and it can't twist out of the way in time. Two waves of dark red soul energy coursing with yellow divine light collide with the dragon's side. Instead of myself being pushed backward after every exchange, finally, my energy attacks make contact with the dragon's right side, exploding into an immense energy blast against its natural defenses and sending the mythical creature rocketing through the air as I follow through with both of my blades. The bulk of the attack was absorbed by the yellow hexagon, but I did it. My blades made it through. I fly forward with killing intent in my eyes and a clear path to victory ahead. The next 5 exchanges go much differently than the last. I'm in total control of this battle now, managing to channel more and more energy into my strikes. The unbreakable gravity shield that erupted back on me every time I tried to break it at the start of our battle is now unable to handle my attacks at all. Every time we collide, there is still a pause in the air as our auras clash, but my blades sink through and release violent energy attacks on this dragon every time. I aim directly for the chest and neck now, but every time the hexagon is still there, taking the brunt of the blow. The remaining force that actually hits the dragon never makes it past its natural defenses, so I still haven't drawn blood. However, as I push the monster back the full 300 kilometers that it pushed me, I learned something new about this true core barrier that I didn't know before. With more confidence after each attack, I begin testing out more abilities. I send telekinesis-powered ice spears, fireballs, stone bullets, and even various mental attacks the dragon's way before, during, and after the barrier is broken. The breakthrough I come to is during one series of attacks where I send off a very concentrated spear of ice its way right after breaking its barrier. While it can handle taking the mental attacks without fear, it attempts to block the physical attacks with its shimmering yellow hexagon, but there is a small amount of lag in between the breaking point of its ability and the time necessary to create another one. My concentrated attack of ice magic tethered with divine energy hits the dragon's right leg, actually making contact with its scales for a fraction of a second before the barrier is able to form again and propel the rest of the attack away. The attack itself wasn't strong enough to actually cause injury, but it's given me enough insight to call this exchange the dragon's fatal move. While the creation of the barrier itself is too fast for me to outwit this monster in a battle of pure speed and dexterity alone, if I'm capable of letting off a full-force attack just moments after the dragon's defensive move is shattered, I believe I have a chance at victory. The only thing I'm still concerned about is the dragon's unwavering confidence, and the fact that the second force of gravity I vividly remember sensing on the way over here has not shown their face yet. Level transfer to main body complete. Level up, X84. Another notification rings in my inner ear, breaking me past level 6000, and I charge up my blades while diving back in for another clash. Chapter 610. More and more level-up notifications ring in my ear as I push the dragon back even further. Every time I land a full-powered hit with both my swords, I'm able to shatter the barrier and send this beast flying back. The only problem is, I don't have enough time to throw the same powered attack at it right after the barrier is destroyed. My soul energy needs to be rechanneled into my swords to create another slash, and the telekinesis-powered elemental attacks are nothing but a minor nuisance to the dragon. It doesn't even try blocking them anymore because they don't make it through its natural defenses. The only attack that can really cause damage is the one that takes its full energy to break down its defenses. As the clashes go on, we're both fully aware of this dichotomy. It's not fast or powerful enough to catch me with one of its beams or its talons, and I'm not strong enough to break its barrier and have enough force to do actual damage to it before it can create another one. However, we are both aware that I am getting stronger after every collision. This sparks a new plan, and I begin conducting some new tests. Instead of evenly distributing everything I have into 2 blades, I start to divide my power and test out swinging one sword first. My plan is to follow through with a second fully charged blade once the barrier gives way and go in for the kill shot with an attack that was not weakened by the impact against this immovable yellow hexagon. While my first few attempts fail, sending me flying backward from not having enough power in just one blade, I quickly get the hang of it and settle into a routine while my levels and MCP rise after each attempt. Attacking with just one blade is far more unstable, and I'm sent flying backward in less predictable directions, but it feels just the same as when I was attacking with 2. Every exchange gets me closer and closer to breaking through. An odd unplanned phenomenon occurs after my level hits LV 6371. Instead of the usual time lag in between floors, many notifications hit my ears over the next full minute. They rotate on and off with MCP gains of over 10 trillion each, making as noticeable gains as defeating the director himself each time. The levels, on the other hand, only rise 1 to 2 after each kill. As I clash with the dragon 3 more times, dozens of notifications ring in my ears, and I realize what's happening. My double has decided the floor it is on is worth its time to farm MCP from. While it would be pointless farming MCP in the millions, or even billions, the monsters on whatever floor it's on now are granting close to 1% increases in my mana control every few seconds. My levels may not be moving fast, but my overall strength sure is. Over the next 10 exchanges, it may look like I'm losing, as I'm getting flung even further away after each attack and tightly gripping a sword full of unused soul energy each time. But the reason for this is because my attacks are getting even stronger. My double makes it to the next floor in the labyrinth after a slight pause in level ups. Then the constant stream of notifications comes back. I'm brought up to LV 6495, over an additional 10 exchanges, and I receive dozens of MCP boosts ranging from 15 to 20 trillion each. My mana control surges, and my focus tightens on a single goal. After one final boost of energy, I can feel that this strike will finish the battle. I soar through the air, trailed by Silky Soul energy and yellow divine light. My Dark Emperor's blade collides with the Earth Dragon's reflective barrier, and we pause in the air once again for multiple seconds, pushing back on each other with immense force. This time, however, my dark blade finally bursts through. Enjoying the story? Show your support by reading it on the official site. My gaze is only locked on one thing: the bright yellow-white core cycling energy in the monster's chest. Following through with the swing with my right as the barrier shatters into millions of threads, I swing my Flame Emperor's sword with everything I have, and am certain this battle is over. The kill shot is playing out just as I planned before my eyes. Still, the bronze dragon's eyes don't change. It isn't even surprised like the first time I broke its defenses. The monster before me seemingly accepts its fate, with no fear or battle instincts to run away on its mind. The only thing I sense is a small amount of sadness, but not for itself. The monster is sad for me, as my blade pierces its natural soul energy and divine shielding defenses and collides with the creature's bare scales. This is when a ripple of fear surges through my own body. In the center of my back, aimed right for my own core, I feel 2 thin silver blades pierce through my greater form's defenses like there is nothing stopping them. I didn't sense anything coming, and even now, as the blades tear through my shielding and blood-bonded armor, then touch my skin, the only thing I sense is burning hot yellow threads vibrating through glossy silver blades belonging to another true core holder. Even now, as the blades pierce my flesh, I can only perceive a small amount of them. My senses can't even detect who is on the other side of this attack. They're either so much more powerful than me that a simple cloaking spell is enough to hide their presence from me, or it's a true core ability that specifically works to hide their appearance. My best guess in the moment is that it's both. I don't have enough time to dodge this attack, and neither do I have the strength to counter it. As my blade sinks into the dragon's chest before me, it feels like I'm in the same exact situation as it is. My mind is racing, but I don't have enough time to get myself out of this, and a last-moment decision to activate my skill Mind Palace surges through my subconscious. As the silver blades dig deeper into my flesh, closing in on my yellow core and the other toward my heart, my entire world splits into 2 different moving realities. One is a fuzzy image of the tips of 2 silver blades materializing out of thin air into my back while I strike a bronze dragon, while the other half of my brain stands up from a white marble throne to walk forward into an organized library of my memories. In the moment, I was only thinking in survival mode, but now I'm able to see the entire situation from an outsider's far more objective lens. The fact that the dragon I was facing was so calm the entire battle, even though I was slowly gaining the edge, now makes far more sense. If I had been too strong for it at the start, whoever this mysterious sword wielder is would have taken me head-on without giving me a chance to fight its dragon. While not going all out from the start, using my subordinate stats to take the dragon out in a single blow has put me in this predicament to begin with. It actually may have been a blessing in disguise. I wouldn't have gained the insight necessary to take on this monster, learning how to properly use the full potential of my true core's power, and also wouldn't have gained over 1,000 levels and hundreds of trillions of MCP in the process. My mind moves faster here. As the last time I tested it, less than a second went by in the real world while 3 to 4 hours went by inside my mind palace. My body is unable to move to reflect my thoughts here, as it would be impossible for my physical muscles and bones to catch up to my brain's speed. However, the system itself can still process commands from within my mind. I pull up my Rising Emperor's domain interface and scroll through the lists of users while slowly walking up and down the aisles of bookshelves, strategically pressing only the names of hunters that are in the Crimson Army and my teammates that are cultivating orange cores far out in the desert. I count out everyone on my list that is currently not at max HP or MP, as I don't know if they are at the climax of their own battles. Less than a dozen total are in scenarios like this, so I see it as a better choice to leave them out than to regret it and tarnish my reputation later. Draining 15% of their total stats and mana control in an instant could possibly be their demise as well. My initial reasoning for not activating the buff was that I didn't want to spread panic, but as I think longer as I walk down the aisles, I come to the conclusion that if I don't make it out of this situation and these two forces get to the city, there will be far more panic than just a city-wide sudden temporary power drain. The average level 10 to 200 citizen may not give me a lot of stats on their own, but in numbers, every bit of strength I can get right now counts. There are over 1,500 of them contributing far more stats than my teammates and army recruits combined. After just a few minutes of meticulously scrolling through my lists of citizens one by one, counting out about 50 more who look as though they're in dungeons in the middle of fights too, I scroll over to the main interface and choose accept on everyone that can spare the energy. Power holder. Activated. 10% power share. Receive. Ruler's gaze. Long-range perk. Activated. 5% power share. Receive. Select party members. Group selected. Select stat points. Group selected. Select mana control. Group selected. Temporary buffs added. Plus 67937 strength. Plus 65984 speed. Plus 70044 agility. Plus 66350 defense. Plus 75869 mental strength. Plus 132922901545 mana control. I grin while looking at the base stats gains, bringing my own up by over 3-5x. The mana control is negligible, but this rise in base stat power will be an absurd increase that I'm excited to feel. The screen disappears, and I watch the stats leave my subordinates and add to my own status. Outside, in the real world, an imperceivable amount of time has passed. The stats and MCP have transferred, but it will still take time for the other half of my split consciousness to react once this Mind Palace skill is deactivated. Now, before this happens, I have to figure out the best way to avoid getting killed by the 2 silver blades about to pierce my chest. Chapter 6:11. I walk up and down the aisles, picturing the 2 silver blades aimed at my core and heart slowly piercing through my flesh. The microseconds pass as the rush of new stat points adds to my base power. My speed and agility are what I have to rely on most for the plan I've devised next. I slowly make my way back to the white marble throne and replay the exact movements my body has to make in my mind 100 times. I want to make them feel more intuitive, like second nature, before turning around and sitting down on the white throne again. Once I do, a single deep breath in and out is all it takes for my split consciousness to combine into one and force myself into action. Power surges through my body, and I give up on trying to land the perfect shot on the dragon's core. The only thing I do right now is step off the air with as much force as I can with my right foot and twist my body with the newfound speed, strength, and agility coursing through me. The movement I practiced in my mind hundreds of times while walking through the aisles is happening in real time. While the pleasure of receiving tens of thousands of base stat points feels immaculate, the The sensation of silver blades tethered with divine energy multiple times denser and more potent than my own tearing through my flesh definitely cancels this good feeling out. This being may have denser divine energy than me, but the amount of torque and speed generated by my spin launches me upward while the blades are still inside my body. The critical moment passes, and my perception of the world around me speeds back up to let this exchange play out. Both silver swords plunge through my torso and chest. One slices right through my upper ribcage, missing the upper portion of my divine core by millimeters. The other misses my heart and stabs right through the top of my upper pec and out through my left shoulder. While this is one of the most painful attacks I've ever been hit with, I can't help but get a rush from the fact that my plan worked. Some bones have been broken and muscles torn, but none of my vitals were hit directly, and I can still follow through with my right hand's downward slash against the dragon's open body. It's not perfectly lined up after my stunt to save my own life, but I managed to release an attack that opens up a deep gash on the bronze dragon's side and tears its left wing in half. As my blade digs into the monster's flesh, I can feel the silver blades twisting and attempting to move downward in my own. The only thing I can do is take another step off the air with my left foot upward to outpace my invisible attacker and forcefully pull the blades out of my upper chest. As I do this, soaring forward and pulling my own blades away from the dragon's mutilated wing, I feel its mixed emotions ripple through me as it makes contact with the outer layers of my purple barrier. The sensation is so odd. It isn't angry, or scared, or even battle-hungry. The creature still seems sad for me, even now as I slice off part of its wing. As it falls down into the dark crater made from our clashes in the desert before, I feel it wishing that I landed the shot. The feeling seems very similar to that of the hunters from the association when they realized they were being forced to do tasks they don't want to do. However, I've been fighting this monster for almost half an hour. I've done every possible scan on it, and there's no sign of any buffs or slave artifacts. Even its divine energy is smooth and not tampered with. It seems to be a free dragon, but the eerie feeling I get as it falls away into the dark crater below and I airstep upward, ripping the silver blades from my back with my speed, is that this elegant monster was wishing for me to put it out of its misery. I don't dwell on the thought for too long, because the moment the blades rip out from my back, and blood gushes out, the shimmering silver weapons fade away from my perception. Reading on this site, this novel is published elsewhere. Support the author by seeking out the original. Just like the rest of this mysterious being's body, when not in contact with Celia's purple core, I can't sense this being at all. I do know that my speed and agility outmatch theirs thanks to my subordinate's borrowed stats, but my divine energy-enhanced shielding was no match for its strength. Even now, the holes in my body are having a hard time healing from the dense residue left over. In response, my heartbeat speeds up, and so do my footsteps through the sky in my greater form. I try to lead whatever is chasing me far away from the city. More MCP transfer notifications ring in my inner ear from my body double, farming as the yellow light of the dragon's core disappears into the darkness below me. More and more thoughts run through my mind as I push my speed to the limits. When I was inside my mind palace, I used all of my time to figure out how to escape a single strike. It worked, but now I have to figure out how to defeat an opponent that is far more powerful than myself without even being able to see them coming. I continue to fly in a single direction. If I make any turns or change in altitude, this could give the enemy following me a chance to cut me off and close the distance. However, only two plans come to mind. One I'll try first, but based on the fact that this invisible force went in for the kill shot just moments ago, I'm already thinking of ways to attempt the second option and risk changing my flight path. I grit my teeth and let out a wave of telepathy in all directions. Who are you? Why have you come here? What do you want from me? Maybe we can come to an agreement rather than trying to kill each other. As the pulse goes out, usually I can establish a link with someone if they're within range, but for some reason, the only link I form is with the dragon falling to the remains of the desert floor. The force in the sky is invisible. Not a trace is picked up even by my all-seeing eye enhanced by my true core. Even so, I try again. Multiple times actually, sending out requests for this being's name, where they're from, and what they want. While it's pointless in one regard, not getting any feedback from my enemy, I've also managed to heal up my wounds in this time and have prepared to test my second option. I take a deep breath and make dense shielding around my vitals instead of charging my blades. A counterattack against this opponent feels pointless. Their swords would cut through mine like butter. It's best I focus on dodging getting hit in the vitals because it is inevitable that the silver blades will hit me again. My mind's eye locks onto the dragon falling deeper and deeper into the darkness, and I make a sharp turn in the air to head toward it. My heart beats even faster, and my breaths get heavier as my adrenaline pumps and fuels my footsteps forward. I'm finally starting to understand what other monsters feel when I endlessly slaughter them in the dungeons with my stealth skills and limiter activated. It is unnerving to face an invisible and superior opponent. Nevertheless, I follow through on the only logical plan I have in mind. If I can't kill the attacker, I'll kill their dragon. Odds are there is some kind of soul bond in place. I don't know why else a dragon would be working with a human. As my direction changes, I question if whatever I'm fighting is even human in the first place. It wields two swords, so this is my first assumption. However, it could be a demon or another rogue dragon in human form, or an entirely new species of monster. As my altitude drops and I do a full turn in the air, these racing questions soon cease as I feel the burning pressure of two silver blades cutting deep into my left side. One aimed straight for my core again, and the other deep into my gut. I wince at the burning pain, but I've been here before. While the gut shot won't be pretty, it's not a fatal hit. I can let it pierce me without shifting my trajectory at all and heal it once I get away. A direct hit to the core, on the other hand, will be impossible to recover from. The only problem is, I don't have the near infinite amount of time as I did last time to perfect my movements to escape. I have the speed and agility to do so, I just have one try and can't mess this up. In a state of extreme stress, I activate all of my mental attack skills. Intimidation, confusion, and even flash and screech for more area distortion. Every element in my arsenal activates, sending waves of fire, ice, water, earth, air, lightning, darkness, and light materializing in the air where the general body of the attacker should be. I use Flash Step along with all of my buffs to move even faster forward, while activating Stealth to make my own appearance disappear from view. My intuition tells me that if I can't see this monster, then there's a good chance even with my Divine Energy Enhanced Stealth skill activated, it can still sense me. So I activate one of the newest skills I obtained while fighting the dragon less than an hour ago, Echo. In my place, it recreates a perfect image of me that hasn't moved downward with enhanced speed. The difference in placement may only be a few centimeters at most, but to avoid a fatal blow, that's all I need. This violent eruption of skills is more of a flashbang to distract my enemy rather than do any damage, so I don't hold back. I have to make it count. The immense burst of energy is all enhanced by divine energy, and it explodes like a bomb powerful enough to make the same crater I formed with the dragon over again in a single release. The silver blades stay their course as I shift downward and narrowly escape death one more time. The same hot sensation of a denser true core than my own carving through my body with real killing intent makes a barrage on my psyche as I airstep forward with everything I have to tear the blades out from my flesh using my speed advantage once again. I plunge downward into the darkness, aimed straight for the falling dragon, and am trailed by the silver blade user. Their presence fades from my senses completely the moment the weapons are torn from my body. After a few full-powered airsteps down into the darkness, I can begin to replay the movements in my mind that I just pulled off. I was hoping I'd get to see some kind of outline or silhouette of the monster when my elemental attacks hit it from all sides, but it is still completely invisible. I've tried everything, my mental and physical fatigue is building up, and that stunt I just pulled won't work for a second time. There's only one last hope for me now. It's the injured dragon falling through the darkness below me. Chapter 612. It isn't flapping its remaining wing or using any magic to slow or change the direction of its fall. The creature seems to have given up and is just permeating sadness as it falls into this artificial abyss. My steps through the air are powerful, so the distance between us closes in less than a minute. However, half my mind is still in fear of the dual-wielding silver swordsman right behind me. Any lag in my downward momentum will leave me open for another attack that I can't defend. My breathing slows, and I focus on what I have to do as all three of us plunge into the darkness at speeds exceeding anything I've ever flown before. Every second that passes, multiple kilometers of downward motion through the crater pass. I charge up both my swords with everything I have, pointing them forward at the dragon's core and making an all-out final push. There's no more thinking involved. I just thrust my blades through the monster's chest. A yellow hexagon of light is created still, as an instinctual response to stop my blades, but it's shattered instantly. Both my swords pierce its scales and flesh, plunging deep into the bright yellow and white true core full of divine light. It cracks and explodes as my momentum continues downward through the gaping hole I create in the center of the dragon. There's a massive burst of energy as the earth dragon is killed, and I feel extremely intense emotions rippling out of the monster's aura as I'm making direct contact with its flesh. I can't tell if it's because of my mind reader perk attached to my lie detector skill, or that my telepathy link met this dragon before, or just my purple barrier relaying the message. But I'm positive that in death, this dragon is thanking me, yet still filled with sadness. As I burst out the other side of its body, bright trails of yellow divine threads arc and follow me deeper into the abyss, like they're attracted to my own core like a magnet. Notifications ring in my ears, and I intuitively select yes to everything popping up in my mind's eye. Level up, X517. Use absorption. MCP. 49. 327. 920002. 556. Yes. No. Use absorption. Stat. Defense. Points. 4,515. Yes. No. Use absorption. Skill. Combat magic. Earth summoning. Upgrade. Superior. Yes. No. My level surges to 7012, I upgrade my earth magic, and I get a rush of new defense stats and mana control. While it feels good, the far more noticeable thing happening to me is the same feeling I got when I killed the director back in the Apex region. All of the flowing silky strands of divine energy in its core follow me downward and tether into my greater form. It all flows into me, through my swords, into my arms, through my body, and into my own core. My core glows so much brighter, denser, and more potent than before. It feels as if there are two of them overlapping in my chest now. Once the energy cycles through, it reestablishes with the rest of my limbs, skills, soul energy, and even mind. My next breath makes me feel like a whole new man, on a different level entirely than just seconds ago. This book is hosted on another platform. Read the official version and support the author's work. My perception of the world expands by over 2 times, allowing me to see all the way back to the Dark Continent, and even further, giving me a crystal-clear view of all 8 of the great regions in a single shot. There's an incredibly vast icy mountainous region above the Dark Continent, and not so far away now, I can see the entire volcanic region to the south in full view. The imagery that bombards my mind and the immense surge in strength is both exhilarating and alarming. This is only because I still can't see the Silver Swordsman chasing me. If by killing the dragon, I killed their bonded partner, they would be dead now and falling through the air with me. I assume in this case their cloaking ability would have deactivated. That isn't the case, meaning they're still alive, and even with this incredible boost in power, I can't perceive them at all. More thoughts race through my mind, trying to come up with ideas of what to do next as I plunge deeper into the crater. Unsure if I'm still being followed by an assassin as their dragons remains litter the sky above. The bottom of the man-made abyss gets closer and closer, but from deep within my core, I feel a new intuitive feeling, like a new skill, or the silent activation of a passive buff coursing through my mind and body. My subconscious thoughts are being filled with a burning desire to use this new power trapped inside me. There isn't much time left, and any turn to the left or right would open me up to a stealth attack just like the one I narrowly escaped when I made the decision to turn and attack the dragon. So, I come to the conclusion that my only choice is plunging straight down. There are a few escape route options on my mind. I could use a teleport crystal and leave the battle safely, or even use the perk of my Dungeon Walker skill to force teleport to any dungeon I wish, but both of those options would only make this enemy more angry and most likely attack the Crimson City directly if I do. It would only be delaying the inevitable, so I have to come up with a solution now. My breathing slows, and my energy concentrates deeper and deeper in my swords as my true core glows with hot yellow light. My velocity downward continues to increase more and more, and in a matter of seconds I'll be colliding with the bottom of this hole in the desert, and right on top of me, this mysterious swordsman will come in for the kill, seeking revenge. With this in mind, I give in to the burning intuitive feeling in my core that wants me to activate an unknown power. Then, the corners of my lips slowly turn upward as I see what's being formed from my own pure divine energy in front of me. All of the fear and confusion that filled my subconscious moments ago fade away, and only excitement and the thrill of battle surge through me now. Moments before impact with the bottom of the crater, I turn my whole body around. Instead of diving head and swords first into the ground, I brace my feet for impact, covered in layers upon layers of soul energy and divine threads. My swords and torso twist upward toward the sky, and in the center of them, manifested out of pure silky yellow light, a glowing hexagon fully forms in front of my entire greater form. My grin while creating this manifestation only grows more and more into a full smile as the bright yellow light floods the area, and I watch two silver blades sink into the incredibly thick wall of gravity above my head. I was right, this sword wielder isn't dead. It feels as though time stops as my feet destroy layers and layers of bedrock below the desert, unable to hold the pressure being forced upon it. However, the barrier above my head between both of my own weapons is holding steady. The silver blades that come out from seemingly nowhere push down with all their strength, but I push back with over double the divine power I had before. The blades sink deeper and deeper into the hexagon of light, making it over 3/4 of the way through. Many times when I was fighting the dragon at the start of our battle, I made it this far through when I was about to shatter its defenses. Although, when I wasn't strong enough to shatter through, the harder I hit, the more severe the blowback was. As the blades stop sinking through, just before the back edge of the reflective barrier, they finally come to a slow stop. A wave of relief and confidence flows through me, and at the same instance, I feel the silver blades begin to reverse their direction, slowly being pushed upward. The slow, reversed motion begins to speed up. Faster and faster, all of the force pushed down in this attack is reflected back, and a flash of yellow light erupts from the sides and front-facing portion of the barrier as the silver swords pull completely out and disappear. I can't sense the enemy, but the fact that they haven't made another counterattack makes me assume they have been caught up in the blast and reflected upward with the eruption of energy high up into the sky. After this last resort move paying off, my mental and physical fatigue grows even worse. I've never exerted so much force and power in my entire life. Every cell in my body is screaming at me to stop and recover. However, the excitement from learning my own True Core's ability allows me to take the unique talents of other True Cores is fueling my urge to fight. I jump upward, destroying dozens of kilometers more desert in a single step, yelling out loud for the entire battlefield to hear. Whoever you are, wherever you come from, show yourself. State your name and tell me why you've come here. Do this, and maybe I'll think about letting you live. A bright yellow surge of energy residue is left behind as I fly upward out from the crater in the desert, following the general direction of where I believe the silver sword user was flung. Chapter 6:13. The energy surging through me settles into my muscles and bones, similar to earlier when I was learning how to properly use my true core in the battle against the dragon. Every step upward through the air assimilates this new power into my being and makes my movements feel more natural. After a short pause, notifications begin ringing in my inner ear again, showing an increase in the average number of MCP being farmed, telling me my double has raised floors once again. Hundreds of trillions of MCP rush into me as I fly up through the scattered remains of the Bronze Earth Dragon and out of the crater in the ground. My mind replays the last exchange over and over as I scan for my enemy, visualizing the pure hexagon of divine energy I manifested, and thinking of the possibilities that are now in the future for me. The fact that a true core is unique to everyone that awakens it means the more of them I fight, the more unique true core abilities I'll gain. No matter how many waves of perception I put out, I still can't sense the silver sword user. Still, I fly higher into the sky, hoping they'll be the first to attack and show themselves. I yell out as I reach the altitude I was fighting at before, into the endless open air where a desert once stood. Now what? I managed to block one of your attacks and you run away. My yell, powered by my mythic grade screech skill to travel hundreds of kilometers, echoes as my greater form glows yellow. Then, my gaze turns in the direction of the Crimson City, considering the possibility that maybe that is exactly what this invisible being did. They could have seen my ability to kill their dragon and grow from seemingly powerless in a matter of minutes to a killer capable of blocking their own attack with their dead ally's ability. From an outsider looking in, there could be a lot of things I'm still hiding or holding back. My heart sinks, piecing together a logical path that I would take in the same position. If they were ordered by someone to take me out after somehow being notified of the Apex Region Director's death, they would find my weakness and attack it. Based on the 3 attacks I've felt from this invisible assassin, they don't hold back and aim straight for the kill every time. My next echoing yell through the open air is even louder, reaching far out into the dead zone of the desert, in case this invisible sword user has already flown away and devised a plan. If you dare lay a finger on my city, I will level the entire volcanic region you came from. Every military base in these mountains will be burned to ash. I won't stop there. I'll split this world in TW. Mid-yell, I sense the silver blades pierce my purple limiter, and a grin forms on my face as I turn my body and strengthen my soul energy shielding, enhanced by divine threads in the area being attacked. Even with these, the blades still sink through, but the eruption of energy slows the silver weapons enough for me to summon another reflective hexagon of yellow light in its place. If not for this ability, I would have been stabbed deep. With my new increase of power in my core, I could have dodged a fatal blow, but it still would have hurt. Now, as another blast of divine light fills the sky, the silver blades disappear and their holder is flung back with it. Relief washes over me, but total concentration does too. While it's good news this enemy didn't head straight for the center of the Dark Continent, I still can only perceive them while they attack, so anything can happen. My gaze stays in the same direction as the enemy was flung while the divine threads in the air disperse. The longer I'm left in the silent sky, the more possibilities of where the invisible swordsman could be. My breathing slows, and I keep all of my buffs constantly activated while sending out pulses of perception. My plunderer skill is draining mana from the atmosphere, but needs to be supplemented by copious amounts of mana crystals that I let fall from my item storage from time to time. Did you know this text is from a different site? Read the official version to support the creator. More mana has been used in the last hour than I've ever run through in what feels like a lifetime. My physical and mental state is not used to using such absurd power. The fatigue is building up, but I push on far past my limits. More MCP transfer notifications ring in my mind, as it's the only thing other than the faint whistle of wind up in this silent sky. The moment the notifications pause, indicating my double has reached another floor, I'm left in complete and total silence again. This is when the blades come straight for the center of my chest. I'm fully prepared this time and perform a perfect replication of the enhanced soul energy shielding to cover my vitals and break the initial impact of the blow. Then another yellow hexagon of pure divine gravity to deflect the remaining attack before it even touches my skin. Over the next 15 minutes, I'm attacked 11 more times. Hundreds of trillions of MCP flood into my system, doubling my mana control again as I endlessly block these incoming blades and hopelessly track the sky for an attacker I can't see. Eventually, the MCP transfer notifications completely stop. Another 15 minutes pass, and I'm attacked 21 more times. In this barrage of kill-shot targeted blows, not a single point of mana control is transferred to me. At first, I thought maybe my double was just waiting extra long to get to a higher floor, or possibly it was killed on a floor with unique monsters that a mere mana manifestation couldn't handle. However, no memories come flooding back in, so this can't be the case. Once I get a new string of notifications in my mind, I begin to make new theories of what's happening back in the Apex region. MCP transfer to main body. Complete. 42,823 MCP. Skill upgrade transfer to main body. Complete. Blood Weaver. Mythic grade. It's a very low amount of mana control, meaning my double isn't even fighting double ranked up monsters. I doubt it's inside the labyrinth still, My best guess is it's left the Apex region base and began making dungeon walker points in the countless dungeons all around the region. If I had more mental power to spare, I would scan the Apex region to try and pinpoint my double. If it is hopping out from dungeon to dungeon, even while in stealth mode, I could still pinpoint it. It isn't important enough right now to use such mental strain. While mana control would benefit me most right now, the main thing I'm thinking about is why would it leave the labyrinth? The only reason I'd leave is if I made it to the top, or if the floors were too hard and needed my main body's assistance. My train of thought is completely interrupted as the silver blades come flying back toward me, pointed straight toward my spine. This enemy comes at me with the same bloodthirsty urge to kill each time. They haven't wavered a bit since the start. All I can do is reflect them back each time. Whenever I attempt to guess where their main body is, sending a counter back, it just leads to me wasting energy, sending a powerful golden slash out into the open air. No matter how good I think my guess is, painting right above where the silver blades hit me, they always disappear away from my senses and my attack misses. My fatigue grows more and more, and the strategy to wear me out mentally and physically is very clear. Another 15 minutes pass, and 32 more attacks are exchanged. I counter on 4 of them, but they're still hopeless attempts. In my inner ear, more and more tiny MCP transfer notifications riddle my consciousness between 500 and 100,000 MCP, confirming to myself that my double is definitely in random dungeons. Another upside of this is that more skill transfer notifications add to my status. Skill transfer to main body. Complete. Stun. Mythic grade. Skill transfer to main body. Complete. Meteor. Mythic grade. Skill transfer to main body. Complete. Mana storm. Mythic grade. I would take the time to read them up close, but the barrage of attacks is being sent at a faster and faster pace. Now, the invisible sword wielder is coming back from my reflective barriers in less than half a minute and going straight for the kill each time. I can't take my eye off my surroundings for too long. The only snippets I read are that my stun skill is similar to confusion and intimidation, a mental attack that stops the attacker from moving. Meteor creates a large pink stone as large and dense as the mana imbued into it, similar to my crystal creation skill, but with the sole purpose of creating a large weapon of mass destruction. Mana Storm takes control of all the mana particles in a given area of aura and scrambles them, putting them only in control of the caster and making the mana useless to anyone else within the aura of a lower mana control. In addition to all of my other skills, I attempt to use these new ones too, possibly gaining some kind of hidden advantage on the invisible attacker, but they all do absolutely nothing, just provoking the silent assassin to speed up their attacks even more. Another 15 minutes pass, forcing me to block 77 more attacks, making this explosive exchange in the sky last over an hour now. I'm getting more and more fatigued. The natural mana in this desert is nearly gone, and my own personal supply of crystals in my storage is running dry too. This needs to stop soon, but the silver sword wielder is only getting faster and their accuracy and intent to kill hasn't wavered one bit. They are still just as sharp as their first shot. Explosion after explosion fills the air as I'm blocking attacks every few seconds that hold enough power to obliterate full nations. There's nothing I can do. No matter what or where I throw my attacks, they never hit. If I run away and save myself, this being will follow me back to the Crimson City. If I'm not there to stop them, anything could happen, and even if I do show up to stop them and we clash too close to the city, a single exchange would kill every mortal in sight from the aura expelled alone. The only way I come out of this exchange with a victory is if I end it now. As I contemplate how many more hours, or even minutes of this absurd beating, I can continue to endure, a notification rings in my inner ear that may finally level the playing field. Skill upgrade transfer to main body. Complete. All-Seeing Eye. Mythic grade. Chapter 614. My All-Seeing Eye is already activated. Every bit of my perception has been on full blast since this fight began, yet it's been hopeless. Now, as the notification of its upgrade rings in my ear, and my divine threads tether with the new pulse of aura that radiates out from my eyes, a whole new world becomes visible around me. I thought my perception abilities were nearly at their peak, but I've been deceiving myself all along. It's like my eyes have finally opened once again. It feels just like the first time I absorbed this skill during the C-class exams in that labyrinth. Back then, it was one of the first times I started seeing the dungeons for what they really were, beginning to see individual mana particles in the air and learning how monsters and the system itself truly worked. Now, the countless new data points entering my mind feel as if the veil has finally been lifted, and I'm seeing reality around me for what it really is once again. Everything looks more vibrant, like golden sparkles of never-before-seen light create and glue reality together between every particle in the atmosphere. Even the oxygen atoms in the air are visible down to the protons and neutrons in their cores. I can see the glue that binds even them together, and that's not even the end. It's like I'm peering into the building blocks of reality, down to microscopic levels I never knew were even there. The deeper I look into this golden sparkling phenomenon that glues the universe together before my eyes, in any given area, my mind starts to intuitively move away from it. My focused perception instantly zooms out, and a slight brain fog covers my mind on the intricate details of what I'm seeing. It's like my ability is allowing me to see things I shouldn't be able to perceive. It feels very similar to the times I stared into the center of Ember's golden core. I take a slight gasp of breath at the thought as my vision returns to searching for the invisible assassin I'm currently battling to the death. My eyes dart all over the sky, and I air-step forward in the direction that I last reflected the sword wielder. However, everything feels like it's going in slow motion around me. My body still moves at the same rate, but my vision and my mind feel as though they're moving far faster than they were just moments ago. After my fifth step higher into the air, I instinctively make a sharp head turn to my left side when I see a faint ripple. I can't even describe exactly what it looks like. It's more of a feeling, like a microscopic panel of reality accidentally flipped the wrong way for a fraction of a second. As I charge my blades and reflective barrier toward this point, the visual sensation becomes more and more common. Groupings of these shimmering clear, almost white, ripples in the air grow larger and larger from a single microscopic point into solid metal objects, appearing out of thin air, like a divine pocket dimension just opened up before my eyes. The two silver blades come into full view once again and collide with my yellow reflective barrier right after they appear. I was able to perceive the incoming blades as they were plunging into reality, but now, as the blades make contact with my divine threads and begin to interact with my purple divine barrier, a whole new wave of information floods into my consciousness. Holding these two silver swords, there is a woman with fair skin, dark black hair, and covered in countless black and silver armor and magical blood-bonded items. A greater form of bright yellow divine light surrounds her being, just like me, and I turn my head to make eye contact with the bloodthirsty warrior who has relentlessly tried to kill me for the last hour. Her vibrant hazel eyes are full of determination, confidence, and behind them all, I feel the genuine thrill of the fight burning in her soul. There isn't even a hint of fear or surprise in the fact that I'm staring right at her. The corners of her lips are turned up so minimally, it's hard to tell if it is just my mind playing tricks on me. The deeper her blades sink into my reflective barrier, the clearer her features become, and the more panels of reality flip my way to reveal her to all of my senses. I'm flooded with 20 individual readings of blood-bonded items on her status first, all of which have 5 stat slots with well over 500% buffs, some of which are even higher than 1000%. The fact that she can carry 5 more gear slots than me piques my curiosity, but when I get close enough to read her level, skills, and buffs, it all makes sense. Stolen content warning. This tale belongs on Royal Road. Report any occurrences elsewhere. LV. 15,831. Skills. Stealth. Divine Grade. Buffs. Silent Steps. Cloak of Shadows. Greater Invisible Battle Form. The moment these metrics enter my mind, the attacks she's made into my reflective barrier hit their stopping point, mere millimeters before sinking all the way through to puncture my chest, and the violent exchange of energy explodes to send her reflected back. Her silver blades cross to block the brunt of the blow as she's sent flying, but once this silver sword wielder leaves my purple barrier and immediate range of perception about 10 meters away from my greater form, she completely disappears once again. My mind processes everything while I prepare for another exchange. This is the first triple ranked up being I've ever seen before. She has a true core, is well over level 10,000, holds 20 gear slots, 3 ranked up buffs, and most impressive of all things, she has a divine grade skill. My heartbeat speeds up, and despite my burning and aching muscles and the fatigue riddling my joints and bones, the excitement to fight someone like this overrides all of my natural senses. My mythic grade all-seeing eye pulses through the desert, enhanced by the burning hot strength of my divine threads, overturning every building block of reality in the atmosphere. Even so, as I airstep higher into the sky to face off against the mysterious hazel-eyed woman, I'm not able to sense her until she comes within a deadly range. I'm only able to barely sense her, basically just a vague intuitive outline of her being as she comes within 10 meters of me, and can only see her for what she really is and her status information when she's making contact with my purple barrier. Instead of reflecting her away in fear of getting hit like every time before, I want to make a move and go on the offensive. I use every bit of divine energy I would have manifested into a yellow hexagon and channel it into both my blades. I twist my body the moment I see her entire greater form, swinging my swords upward to clash with her silver swords and lock eyes with this assassin again. This time, I'm smiling wide as we both stand still clashing in the sky, radiating pulses of divine light like a beacon rippling through the air for hundreds and hundreds of kilometers. I can even sense the excess radiation and sound of this clash reach some of the smaller towns and villages in the outer bits of the populated areas of Sector 2. We're at nearly identical strength, and the burning divine energy in our true cores is extremely similar too. My reaction time and speed are faster than hers, and my defensive power is too. However, this sword wielder's stamina is far greater than my own, and if she wanted to run away, it would be impossible for me to locate her. Still, even with this change in my technique, blocking her with my swords instead of the logical reflective barrier move, her emotions and physical state don't change at all. Her gaze is locked on my core, and her conviction to fight doesn't waver. There is no malice in her movements, and unlike the dragon that was battling me before, it doesn't seem like she's being forced to do anything. The sword wielder is here because she wants to be. She wants to fight because she's enjoying it. Nothing more, nothing less. This realization is both exciting and also a bit worrying. There is nothing more dangerous than an opponent like this. I know so, because I myself have felt the same way many, many times before. My instincts tell me there is no reasoning with her. The only way this battle ends is if one of us falls to the other's blades. We stay locked in the sky with our blades colliding. She pushes mine back a few centimeters, and I do the same as more and more pulses of silky divine threads seep from our cores through our blades and out into the completely decimated desert. There's nothing at all left below us but an impossibly deep ravine stretching further than mortal eyes can see. Despite this, we continue on. The scraping of divine energy tethered to greater forms swords echo through the air, and finally, we both go in for the kill at exactly the same time. Both of our right-handed swords break away from the other's left, aiming for the core, but we both twist our bodies and dodge, only piercing one another's sides while flying through the air onward in the opposite direction. Once again, her yellow divine residue tears a gaping hole in my stomach after it pierces through my armor like butter. But the slow healing process begins while I airstep around, charging my blades to get ready for another exchange. Another clash ripples through the air, shockwaves traveling over 1,000 kilometers, less than a second after our last exchange. A small yellow slash from my own divine energy residue is visible on her side once we meet again. While mine is healing, hers is still burning bright. However, instead of being concerned, the hardly noticeable grin on her face grows just slightly as both of us go in for the kill again. Over and over, a new style of battle continues in the sky. Now that I can see my attacker, we're on equal footing. When she takes me by surprise in awkward angles, I manifest reflective barriers, and when she attacks straight on, our blades hit every time. On the head-on attacks, both of us always leave those with wounds. Although they're not severe, they do build up over time. Mine heal, but not fast enough. I have slashes all over my legs, arms, chest, and torso. However, the silver sword user does too. The collisions only get more frequent, ramping up to multiple clashes per second. The waves of divine energy that erupt from our collisions are stacking together and pulsing out further and further into the dark continent and volcanic region. To the south, more and more lava erupts from the active volcanoes, and the mana in the air is being distorted by the constant energy pulses to create and break dungeons. My plunderer skill absorbs so much mana from the air that pockets of dense mana are flooding into drained portions of the atmosphere, and odd phenomena are occurring down below in the crater where the dead zone of the desert used to be. Rogue dungeons are being formed from the excess mana residue trapped in our divine energy pulses. While new dungeons forming and breaking within a radius of our fight won't be difficult to clean up, there is a far more dangerous result of this exchange that is beginning to show itself. Far away, in the center of the dark continent, weak vibrations of yellow divine light from two true cores clashing begin to ripple into the depths of the demonic energy-filled abyss. While one or two waves don't get much of a result, the continuous and growing pulses of mana and divine threads that are being consumed by the darkness make the entire abyss tremble. As I clash with the silver assassin in the sky for the 139th time in the past minute, another ripple of divine light filled with mana collides with the abyss thousands of kilometers away. In the center of the abyss, a pulse of black energy responds back, making a ripple outward, and above it, the clouds in the sky begin to slowly part. Chapter 6:15. Back in the outer desert, just about 100 kilometers away from the Crimson City, my teammates sit in a circle, absorbing orange divine fragments. Weak ripples of yellow radiation from my fight reach their senses, and Maria is the first to speak up. That's Jay. First, he leaves in a hurry claiming that we'll need to use this power sooner than we think. Then he borrows our stats and mana control. Now, these pulses of energy can only be the result of a fight. Fisher smirks, looking up while still sitting in the lotus position, and responds. And he didn't even think to invite us in on the fun. Come on. Even though we haven't consolidated our orange cores yet, we're still leagues above what we were days ago. Lydia turns to him, opens one eye, then closes it and shakes her head. It's too dangerous. He isn't one to draw out a fight. Whoever or whatever he's facing, they're definitely at or above his strength. We wouldn't last a full second near that battlefield. Abby is the last to add to the group's words. I can't sense a thing, he's so far to the south. As far as I know, there is only a dead zone of desert for thousands of kilometers until... She pauses and thinks for a moment. I might be right. There are more association-run nations far to the south, and word of the director's death must have already traveled to the higher-ups. They all sit in silence, knowing that the only thing they can do is become stronger and wait for good news. That is, until the outward ripple from the center of the abyss meets its outer ring. A wave of invisible gray energy pulses outward, similar to all of the surges triggered by the abyss in the past. But this one is far stronger than ever before, easily 3 times as powerful. The outer edges of the dark abyss creep outward a few more kilometers into the desert. The 4 of them feel it harmlessly ripple through them, but recognize that feeling from past surges that have caused mass dungeon breaks and calamities. The gray shockwave that erupts from the abyss begins triggering even more breaks throughout the dark continent, and even further into the 8 great regions, spreading further out into the world like a massive sonar. My doubles back in the Crimson City feel it too and immediately jump into action. One of them heads out to Sector 3 to handle the breaks in the farmland, while the other alerts the Crimson Army to stop their training immediately and begin securing all of the dungeons within the canyon. Once they are stabilized and guarded by the proper ranked hunters, farming will be allowed for rare and unique loot for a limited time, just like the last surge. Lith and Monk have the proper strength alone to handle Sector 1, and the armed guards led by Chester are high enough level to manage the overflow in Solara and surrounding villages up in Sector 4. Far out in the Apex region, my double that's farming dungeons feels it too and uses a teleport crystal to head back to the guild hall immediately, breaking up the family reunion of Bree and Rodrigo to learn the proper protocol to handle breaks in the 8 great regions. A double nationwide dungeon break emergency has been triggered by the battle that has just begun. High above the impossibly large crater dividing the dark continent and the volcanic region, our battle rages on. Every clash in the sky we exchange leaves both of us milliseconds away from making a fatal move. I don't even try activating my elemental or extra magic as a distraction. It's impossible to predict what direction the silver sword wielder will come from, and I only have fractions of a second to make my counter each time. The most effective strategy is using my fully charged blades, which happen to be my strongest offensive and defensive move. You might be reading a pirated copy. Look for the official release to support the author. True core-enhanced soul energy within these two blood-bonded weapons is the only thing that can possibly block her relentless strikes. And it's the only weapon that can pierce through her defenses as well. Both of us must keep total concentration on solely the fight in front of us, or it will be the final lapse in attention one of us will ever make. The fight only becomes more intense, colliding up to 10 times per second, releasing more nation-destroying shockwaves into the atmosphere, and riddling each other with holes and slashes. Her excitement and thrill for the fight only grows the longer it goes on, and the worse shape both of us look. The woman I'm clashing with may be the only human in the world I've ever met with a crazed obsession with battle that matches mine, or is possibly more severe than my own. I'm enjoying every millisecond of our battle. It feels like the most natural, free-flowing dance in the sky. We both want exactly the same thing, to kill the other. No emotions are being held back, and the other participant in this deadly dance knows exactly what the other wants without a shadow of a doubt. It is the most pure exchange of feelings there is. A graceful dance in the sky that can only end with one of the dancers falling to the abyss below, covered in their own blood. However, our fighting styles differ. I have something I want to protect, a city of loyal citizens, and teammates that have watched me grow and never once betrayed me, waiting for me back in the Dark Continent. The woman I'm fighting seems to fight for a different reason. I feel with every strike she sends at me that the essence of battle itself is what she strives to protect. Every one of her strikes feels like she's continuing to search for the perfect kill, but craves an equal or even superior exchange back to allow her own fighting skills to evolve further. The conviction, confidence, and absolute certainty of each one of her strikes make me believe there has never been a single opponent that has ever witnessed this side of her, and lived to tell a soul about it. She would rather die on this battlefield right now than let me escape. The clashing of our swords drowns out the state of the entire world, blinding us to the fact that deep in the abyss, enough divine energy harboring an uncountable amount of mana has triggered it to pulse again. Mere minutes after the first, a second bulge in the pure darkness of the black and purple demonic energy of the abyss forms. It ripples out to meet the edges and sends another powerful surge, twice as strong as the last, throughout the surrounding nations. The edges of the abyss crawl out deeper into the Dark Continent once again, becoming visible now, from the Crimson City by normal human eyes. Above the abyss center, the clouds continue to part, creating an opening of bright sunlight to peer down into the endless darkness that swirls within the abyss. As the second surge triggers more and more breaks throughout the Dark Continent, my doubles, teammates, and Crimson Army have secured all of the most volatile breaks. Over 10% of all the dungeons have been triggered to break by the surge, and up to 50% of them are showing signs of elevated mana levels. My doubles are able to use element stones imbued with my plunderer skill to settle dungeons back to their resting state. But this process isn't instant. Traveling from dungeon to dungeon still takes time outside in the real world. Meanwhile, Rodrigo, Bree, and one of my doubles head back to the Apex region to give orders to all of the A-class hunters and send transmissions out to all of the regional directors to begin their usual surge protocols. The battle in the sky rages on, as we're unaware of the mass destruction being caused all around us. Now, over a dozen pulses of energy from our clash radiate out from our blades every second. We're both losing blood, mentally and physically fatigued beyond the limits that either of us have ever pushed. It looks as though two glowing yellow suns are colliding in the sky over and over, digging a deep crater into the side of the world, and every living being on the planet is paying for it. As enough shockwaves hit the abyss, a third bulge in its center starts to form. It rises higher than the previous two, and the clouds that have begun to part in the sky continue to be pushed away as the abyss looks like it's being pulled upward, like a swelling wave of demonic energy. It swells so high that the center of the abyss can be seen in the sky from the outer ring, even hundreds and hundreds of kilometers away. It looks like an impossibly large rounded pyramid of dark fog, and only takes its shape more and more as the round bulge in its center looks like it's pushing upward like a point. This all changes when the large circle of parted clouds in the sky turns dark as well, to match the color of the abyss. The point at the top of the swell breaks, and out from its center, a cylindrical structure dozens of kilometers wide shoots up, materializing out of it, and quickly continues growing up into the sky. From the depths of the abyss, a jet-black tower grows high into the darkness above. A final surge ripples through the entire world as the swell falls down to its natural state, and the clouds roll back in to fill up the circular portion of sky that parted. This shockwave is far stronger than both of the first two combined. So strong that it reaches far into other nations while keeping its overwhelming strength. While no physical damage is done by it, as the pulse expands outward, an eerie sensation is shared by millions of people nations apart. As I clash with the silver sword wielder in the sky again, the third surge ripples through both of us, and the shiver it sends down my spine is reciprocated in my opponent. Despite being mid-clash, both of our attentions waver. We've been in a flow state of pure battle for hundreds of exchanges, but this powerful burst of energy is too strange to ignore. Our eyes meet, simultaneously realizing there is another threat among us, and both make the decision to use up valuable divine energy to send out pulses of perception to see the result of our actions at the center of the Dark Continent. Chapter 6:16. As my pulse of perception creeps into the center of the Dark Continent, the cylindrical pillar that grows out from the depths of the abyss becomes visible to me. The clouds part in the sky to reveal the structure as it seemingly materializes from thin air into existence, climbing higher into the sky. My divine energy-enhanced vision can see the obsidian-black outer barrier of this tower crystal clear, but even with my new mythic grade all-seeing eye activated, I can't see within it. The mysterious black pillar shooting up from the abyss is made from a material unknown to me, but with qualities that seem familiar. From this distance, it's hard to say exactly what it is, but it has very similar characteristics to the black stone of Monk's Pyramid back in Sector 1. The pillar materializes higher and higher into the sky, so high that it eventually reaches too far for my senses to reach. I watch the abyss swell and flow rapidly like an ocean during a storm, and the eerie sensation that rippled through me from the third surge keeps repeating in my mind. The fact that my clash with this other true core at such scale has triggered this event becomes very clear, but what exactly that pillar is raises tons of theories to race through my mind. Both Ember and the Lich King have stated in the past that the abyss is where the throne will awaken, but what exactly that means I'm still very much in the dark. The visions of past memories from Celia, the purple cord being in her last minutes of life, showed me the aftereffects of what happens if a demon is to claim that throne, but that doesn't explain much about what happens before it's claimed and most importantly how to claim it. I don't know if this is normal, or if my interference has changed the trajectory of this world's future. So many questions are left unanswered as I turn my attention away from the ominous black pillar and stare back into the hazel eyes of the silver sword assassin, whose blades I'm still clashing with hundreds of kilometers above a crater in the desert. However, the sight before me now is almost as shocking. For the first time in our entire battle, the woman's expression changes. Instead of continuing to attack me relentlessly without any emotion or sign of letting up, the sword user's eyes are filled with shock as well. The odd sensation of fear, anticipation, confusion, and excitement ripple out of her, and I feel the telepathy link that I've been trying to send out to her for the past hour finally connect. Her voice echoes through, but it doesn't sound like she's aware we've even linked. It is more of an inner thought seeping out in a moment of great stress. This is too soon. Her pupils shrink, and her intense battle instincts, overwhelming aura, and urge to kill me completely disappear. For some reason, she's done fighting me. This doesn't mean I'm taking any chances. So in this moment, I overpower her left arm's blade and aim my right directly toward her core. This moment of hesitation has decided the fight. I don't hold back while the tip of my Flame Emperor's blade pierces the center of her chest, but an unexpected reaction occurs. Unlike every other time I tried to do this move in our hundreds of past clashes, when she would usually spin her body just enough to make my blade plunge through her shoulder while her blade punctures me. This time, my blade meets no resistance and pierces right through her chest. I would be satisfied with this result. However, in the area where I'd pierced her, there's no longer any flesh in its place. There is just a circle of open sky. From her core outward, the fair-skinned, well-endowed, long-haired woman disappears before me, dodging my deadly strike in a very unique way. My all-seeing eye can still vaguely pick up her presence in front of me, and my blade is definitely sitting in the center of her chest. But for some reason, I can tell she's not injured. The barely visible shimmering figure of the woman steps back a few dozen meters to fully disappear from my senses as I pull my sword away and get back into a fighting stance. I'm sure I hit her, but at the same time, my eyes and all my senses have seemed to deceive me. It's like she slipped away into a divine pocket dimension, being right where my blade struck, but dodging it in a direction that I'm not able to shift my attack into. Instead of attacking again, I hear the woman's voice echo in my head. That was an admirable strike. If I was distracted by the throne's awakening for even a tenth of a second longer, maybe you would have won this duel. Over 100 meters away, the woman materializes into existence, showing herself to me, and there isn't a gaping hole in her chest as I would have imagined. She still has both of her silver swords up in a battle stance as well, but there is no urge to strike at me rippling through her anymore. I wouldn't have believed her next words if I couldn't read emotions so perfectly. Stolen from its rightful place, this narrative is not meant to be on Amazon. Report any sightings. Let us call it a draw. While you were my favorite fighting opponent I've ever faced, I've lost interest in killing you. She powers down her greater form and just reveals her plain armored body riddled with yellow divine slashes from our battle, then turns her head in the direction of the massive black pillar thousands of kilometers away. Maybe the urge will return when greater stakes are on the line. I think it's only fair we save a duel like this until the world itself is the prize. She shrugs and lets out a sigh, letting the thin smile that I witnessed on her face while mid-battle return to the corners of her upturned lips. One of us killing the other now would be quite the waste. Don't you agree? Then she turns back to me, pointing her sharp eyes at my greater form without any fear that I'll take advantage of this moment again and go in for the kill. I'm shocked at this turn of events. The ruthless, emotionless warrior only battling for the thrill of the fight seemingly becoming uninterested in battling me anymore is the last thing I was expecting to happen. She coughs up blood, and the glowing yellow wounds on her body leak the crimson liquid as well as she waits for a response. This halt in battle for even just a few seconds has given my own mind and muscles enough time to rest and let the adrenaline begin fading, and waves of fatigue and extreme pain start to enter my psyche. I grit my teeth but cough up blood too, as the majority of my injuries will take a long time to heal. Attacks tethered with true core divine threads are not the same as mere mana alone. I respond while pulling out a teleport crystal from my storage to let it float nearby me just in case, and power down my own greater form to conserve energy. A draw it is. As I shrink down to human size, she looks down into the crater below us, then back up to me and locks eyes with me. You killed my dragon, but I don't really care. It was property of the Central Branch anyway. They will be wondering what happened here today. There's a long pause before she speaks again. It would be in your best interest to act like you're dead, unless you want more true cores coming to kill you before the doors to challenge the throne open. My eyes widen, as the way she's describing the throne is a bit different than the cryptic guesses I've received from 3 entities in the past. I want to ask her a million questions, but the dripping blood from her wounds and the look in her eyes makes me believe she doesn't have time to educate her enemies for no reason. I pull out a pile of mythic-grade regeneration potions from my storage and use telekinesis to slowly levitate them toward her, making sure it doesn't come off as a threat. These may aid your healing process. Maybe in exchange you could tell me more about the throne. What do you mean by the doors to challenge it will open? What exactly did we just trigger? She suspiciously looks at the half-dozen green potions in front of her and doesn't take a hand off her swords until she coughs up blood again and is forced to do something about her wounds. The woman drinks one while I watch and hold the other 5 up next to her with my heart racing in my chest. The bleeding from her open wounds slows down a little, and some color in her face returns, but the woman is still extremely injured. So am I, even while using this healing skill during the entire battle, and now, my own wounds have only recently stopped gushing blood. She gladly accepts the 5 other potions into an item box and responds. You are not a council member of the Order, unfortunately. I cannot divulge our secrets. The only piece of advice I would share with you is, if another true core approaches your land, try a different greeting. I don't think many other members will take your instinct to kill on sight as lightly as I have. She smirks and turns toward the northwest, a direction that would send her flying through Sector 3 and up into the 8 great nations if she flew straight, so I'm a bit confused when she speaks up again and her body begins to disappear from reality into the divine pocket dimension I can't sense. Consider us an alliance. I won't attack your people, and I have faith you will not attack mine. I'm well aware you were the one who defeated Mr. Freeman, so I will leave the 8 great regions alone as well. I'm just headed to the Apex region to pick up a package. No one will know I'm there. I raise an eyebrow and reactivate my greater form as in the back of my mind. The fear of a sneak attack is still a possibility. As she disappears completely from my senses, she says a final message through our telepathy link instead of out loud. I'm Raven. If you would like to speak again before the doors open, come visit me in the heart of my region with your stealth ability activated. Until then, it's best you play dead, as if you lost this fight. A red-haired man with a bright matching beard nervously watches a silver device on his white marble table. It pulses with yellow and white light as one of the crystals on it has shown increased activity higher than ever before over the last hour. News of one of their high-level labyrinths linked to the dragon that Raven uses as transportation, mysteriously disappearing, doesn't sit quite right with the old man either. It means the dragon has been defeated, and the pulsing light means Raven is using her true core's full power repeatedly. Eventually, the blinking and flashing of her crystal begins to settle down and fall back to its resting state. However, right as it does, 3 major surges ripple through the Central World headquarters of the Association, causing massive dungeon breaks all over the capital region. Vice Central Director, Mr. Redgrave, ignores the surges and patiently waits for any news from his receiver. There are plenty of higher-ups and A-class hunters that can handle surge protocol. They don't need him to directly send the order. Minutes after the 3rd surge ripples through his luxury suite, the silver device on his center table finally makes a sound. Raven here, giving an update on the 8 great regions' leader disappearance. It is true that Mr. Freeman was killed. I battled the source of the problem, but seemed to have created a bigger one. Mr. Redgrave immediately reaches for his transmission device and yells through it. You killed him, right? This Flame Emperor isn't the bigger problem you're talking about, is it? He anxiously looks down at the transmission device while silence fills the room for almost half a minute. There are 3 other true cores visible on the crystal panel other than Raven and Redgrave. The other 4 crystals all seem to be normal yellow cores that don't shine as bright. They look similar to Mr. Freeman's crystal before it went dark. Then Raven replies, and her bright stone flickers. No, he isn't the problem. It's the fact that the throne's final stage of awakening was triggered from our clash. We have far less time than we thought. The doors will be opening soon. The originator's text has led us this far. Many of us have waited decades, our entire lives, for this moment. There's silence on the line again. Inside Mr. Redgrave's suite, his eyes widen and an excited yet devious smile shapes onto his face as he presses his crystal down and replies. Excellent, Raven. Excellent. You have done well. I hope we do not have to meet each other once the trials begin. He clicks his device off and begins pacing around his room. Meanwhile, Raven flies through the skies with her divine stealth skill activated, and the only other voice responding in the transmission is the same heavy-breathing man with a bright, true core crystal shining on the device. Raven clicks her device to cut off the annoying repetitive noise. I didn't forget about your offer. Get your 200 fragments ready. Your white dragon artifact will be delivered shortly. The breathing noise ceases, and the transmission channel goes silent. Chapter 617. I'm left floating high above a dark crater in the desert, hundreds of kilometers wide. As Raven completely disappears from my sight, wisps of green mist are left in my vision as my lie detector skill confirms her words are genuine. I power down my greater form again and place my swords back into storage, letting only the single teleport crystal I took out earlier float in front of me. My body is still riddled with hundreds of puncture wounds, and my mind races to make sense of all the information streaming into my brain. I use half of my remaining energy to continue the slow and painful healing process, while using the other half to extend my net of perception outward to assess the true aftermath of my battle here in the Dead Zone. Hundreds of dungeons are breaking all over the Dark Continent and the 8 great regions, and powerful hunters are securing the territories with impressive speed. In the Crimson City, the army has already set up makeshift roadblocks in front of each dungeon that has broken, only allowing hunters 100 levels above the normal threshold to farm from them. Meanwhile, my double evacuates and stabilizes the more violent breaks with plunder-imbued element stones. Far off in the Apex region, my double that was farming in the labyrinth uses all its concealment skills, light magic, duplicated gear, and ranked-up Master of Illusion buff to act as the regional director, ordering the A-class hunters to guide the B and C-class Apex region workers to handle the usual protocol for the breaks. Meanwhile, Rodrigo gives my double and Bree a tour of the Apex region headquarters, as soon this will be another home base for all of us. Throughout the entire 8 great regions, messages are transmitted with Rodrigo's help to all of the regional directors. My divine thread-enhanced gaze schemes through all the regions, pinpointing various dense points of mana where the highest grade breaks are appearing. Familiar faces pop into my mind's eye. Deep in the Talton region, a few B-class breaks appear in the heavy jungle. Marcy, the newest B-class warrior in that region, leads the charge, sensing the breaks the moment the first surge rippled through, and taking out full dungeon solo in a matter of minutes. Out in the Raya and Silka regions, a new B-class wind magic wielder, Dane, is the first to notice dozens of breaks in the partnered regions. The 2 regional directors get a transmission at the same time, and the 3 of them, the strongest hunters in both regions, begin instructing hunters and taking on the most difficult breaks alone. The Vice region and Viridian region receive the signal from headquarters, but have already started sending out extra hunters to handle the surge. The fact that no order has been given to send extra troops to the Dark Continent is unusual, as these 2 regions are usually responsible for keeping it in line. Neither of the old directors comments on it, however. Nat, now contracted to the Viridian region, is sent out to secure a batch of the deadliest B-class breaks in the region. Many of the other hunters in her party are anxious and scared, as it's likely many will be severely injured and some could die today. This is the largest mass dungeon break to be recorded in decades. Fear and unease fill the streets, as many hunters from the association know what's happening. There seem to be many more on duty, rushing toward the dungeon hubs than usual. Even the weakest merchants and non-hunter citizens can feel the eerie atmosphere. There's a protocol for off-duty E and D-class hunters to ensure there aren't riots or mass hysteria in the streets. As Nat enters the strongest break in the entire region, her demeanor is calm, and her fists ignite with flames. The monsters inside the divine construct were far more deadly than anything that could possibly spawn in here today. In the Dark Continent, my last remaining double speeds through all of Sector 1, 2, 3, and 4 dead zones and unpopulated areas. This book is hosted on another platform. Read the official version and support the author's work. Months ago, when I was in my exploration phase while farming mana for the labyrinth, and even further back when collecting luminite and mana for the isolation pods, I placed dungeon walker points all over the continent. Many breaks need to be dealt with quickly, as there are no strong hunters in some of the far-out villages who can handle them. The higher populated cities like Solara and Valor City are easily taken care of as I expected. Chester and Lith deploy their guards and hold a temporary lockdown on the public dungeons. Best of all, around the Crimson City, there is no panic at all. Many hunters and merchants remember the last surge that occurred in this city and easily stand in line to enter the unique dungeons and buy loot from hunters who manage to get in early so they can sell to neighboring nations. Even the outer city folk, who are usually just passing by, become interested as word of what happened last time spreads. Over 200 new links of loyalty are formed from traveling merchants and hunters in the outer city, just so they can enter the Crimson Dome and get a piece of the pie. A wide grin crosses my face as I watch the results of my actions play out in real time. While it may look like a catastrophe on the surface, there are upsides to this mayhem. Notifications ring out in my ears as my doubles farm a few unique breaks and secure new skills before stabilizing the dungeons. Skill transfer to main body. Complete. Final strike. Mythic grade. Skill transfer to main body. Complete. Dark mist. Mythic grade. Skill transfer to main body. Complete. Enrage. Mythic grade. About half an hour passes before all of the breaks throughout the 8 great regions and Dark Continent are secured. I read these 3 skills details and continue healing myself with more of my remaining power, allowing my perception to dull. Then, deactivate my stat and mana control sharing perk to give those I've borrowed power from their full strength to battle the mutant monster back in the Canyon of Dungeons. Final Strike is similar to my Final Breath ability, allowing me to unleash a single final move with increased attack power. It doesn't show the exact amount of power it adds, nor does it show the downsides afterward. It is pretty much based on how much mana I imbue into it, but if it's anything like the Final Breath's aftereffects, I don't really want to test it out. Dark Mist creates an aura of darkness, blinding opponents that come within a certain range. Only the caster can use perception skills within it. This, too, depends on the caster's mana control. Lastly, Enrage is a buff similar to Bloodlust and Berserker. It raises my strength and speed by 250% while active, and gives an additional 150% to my base perception as well. This is definitely a passive buff I'll be keeping active during battle. As I close my status screen, I finally grasp my floating teleport crystal nearby. It's been long enough now that my wounds have all finally closed up entirely. They're still healing slowly, and even my blood-bonded armor is still regenerating. It feels like this may take many long hours or even days to fully recover from. My body is still trying to absorb and break down the divine energy residue from each slash. Even though my body is healing, my fatigue from the most intense battle of my life is not fading at all. As I contain my entire aura beneath my purple limiter and crush the teleport crystal in my hand to bring me beneath the Crimson City, I'm met with exactly what I was looking for. Abby, Maria, Fisher, and Lydia all stand in the bunker below the guild hall, watching over Ember in the isolation pod while my double continues to work out in the Canyon of Dungeons. A bright green restoration circle tethered by red and orange divine threads covers the floor, and a rush of healing magic surges through me. Welcome back, Jay. I take it my assumption was right? Abby looks at me with a worried face, while my other 3 members share her sentiment. I respond, yeah, you were right. I form a hush barrier around us. It was 2 more true cores. One I managed to kill, the other got away, but they consider us an ally for now. I feel a small amount of my fatigue disappear as Abby's mythic grade restoration magic, fueled by a red core and small traces of leftover orange threads, trickles through me. However, they do nothing to combat the yellow true core residue that still burns me from the inside out in hundreds of places. These wounds are on another level, and I'm sure the silver sword wielder is feeling the same burns thousands of kilometers away right now. I grit my teeth as another wave of fatigue hits me, and Maria speaks up. What do you mean they're an ally for now? How long is that going to last? My head turns in the direction of the abyss. Even though we're underground, all 4 of them know exactly where I'm looking, as this is where the source of the 3 surges came from not long ago. I respond and cough up blood mid-sentence. Not long. I need to rest, and you 4 need to consolidate your orange cores. Soon we'll be venturing into the abyss. My gaze turns to the isolation pod sitting inside Abby's restoration circle, and whisper, adding on to my statement. You better wake up soon too. We're going to need all the help we can get. High atop a snowy mountain, just outside my perception range, the 3 surges finally ripple through the endless icy region to the north. An old man with a dense, bright yellow core stands up from his sitting position and places the half-consumed yellow fragment in his hands into an item box beneath his robes. He speaks up to his 2 orange-cored disciples, cycling orange energy in their cores at his sides. The time has come sooner than I believed it would. However, it looks like this threat in the Dark Continent may be more formidable than the Order. A blue video crystal plays a blurry image of an endless pit in the center of the desert, shifting to show another visual thousands of kilometers away in much higher resolution of the black cylindrical tower. He speaks again, as his disciples haven't stopped cycling their orange fragments. Stand up, we're going on an outing. Prepare to defend yourselves. Where we're headed doesn't seem to greet its guests very lightly. Chapter 6:18. I quickly make some upgrades to the shielding in this underground shelter. With my remaining few million MP worth of mana crystals and a contribution of additional crystals from my 4 teammates here, there's more than enough mana to get the job done. I imbue the shielding in this bunker to far surpass A-class shielding, giving it additional mythic-grade stealth, hush, and barrier creation protection, lightly imbued with trace amounts of my True Core's divine threads. This is not only to keep my teammates safe inside, but also to keep everyone outside safe from what I'm about to recommend. Continue your orange divine core consolidation down here. I turn to the isolation pod. I want you to keep an eye on Ember and keep his pod within your circle of restoration. I can feel him healing at a much faster rate with it activated. My eyes track up to the ceiling next, watching as the small red and orange threads of radiation that leak off their bodies become trapped by the True Core-imbued shielding I've created. All of them have dense chi barriers up, to not let their mana control disrupt the natural order of the low-level merchants and hunters above in the city. However, this isn't necessary. I point at the new shielding. This should hold in enough power for you all to safely cultivate indoors. You may get quite the efficiency boost too, as a lot of the leftover threads can be recirculated within the bunker. As these words come out of my mouth, I cough up more blood while the wounds all over my body pulse and burn into my flesh. An annoying ringing sound in my ears starts too, though I don't bring much attention to it as I walk up the spiral stairs to leave. I'm going off to find a place to heal these wounds. It's not safe for me to do it here. I thought it would be a good idea to check in before I left. There are waves and short messages of goodbye as I activate my stealth skill and leave the bunker to walk out onto the streets and fly above the housing and businesses to make my way over to the Canyon of Dungeons. I would have stayed to talk longer, but my fatigue and pain from my injuries are still rapidly getting worse. On my way, I get the blaringly noticeable visual of the dark black abyss on the horizon. Just under 1,000 kilometers away, the center of the dark continent is visible to me, and the black pillar into the sky is clear as day. However, for most average eyes, all there is to see is the enormous black abyss. It's a known phenomenon in the dark continent. Over the years, the mass of darkness filled with mysterious invisible monsters has been creeping further and further outward every time there is a surge. Today, it sits dangerously close to this settlement. I have no idea how the darkness would react if it hit my Crimson Dome. However, a new phenomenon is showing itself to me now that makes me believe I may not have to ever find out. Instead of the abyss staying stagnant as it usually does or creeping closer like it does during each surge, the abyss is actually receding before my eyes. It's incredibly slow, maybe a few centimeters a minute right now, but my eyes are far sharper than the average hunter, so I can see its movement from all sides throughout the entire dark continent. Flashbacks of some of Celia's memories rush through my mind. As before each planet was consumed by darkness, they all contracted back on a single point before erupting around the globe. This same phenomenon is happening now. All of the dark energy from the abyss is being pulled back into this enormous black pillar, like a tsunami pulling back the sea before it crashes onto the land. One of my top priorities right now is to enter this abyss and see what's really happening inside. 2 of my teammates, Luna and Ari, ventured into this darkness over 2 full months ago. They are still on my Rising Emperor's domain interface, but their exact location is still unknown to me, and so are their strength levels and vitals. So many mysteries lie within this darkness, but I cough up another large amount of blood and the ringing in my ears gets louder. This makes me shift my mindset back to figuring out a way to heal myself. Fast. My self-regeneration skill has done its job in healing up the physical wounds as best it can, and Abby's restoration circle has taken away some of my fatigue to give me a little extra time, but I'm far from healed. I could easily close my eyes right now and fall asleep. It feels like it would take weeks to naturally heal all these wounds. With the eyes of a True Core, and possibly others from this organization Raven mentioned called the Order watching from afar, I don't like the idea of leaving myself and my teammates vulnerable for this long. You could be reading stolen content. Head to Royal Road for the genuine story. I scroll through my status while I float down into the Canyon of Dungeons, and one skill pops out at me that was upgraded to Mythic grade during my fight against the Bronze Earth Dragon. I click on Hibernation, and far more details pop up. The last time I used this skill at special grade, there were two downsides. The fact that during the hibernation process my defenses will decrease by 99%, and also following hibernation my defenses would stay limited by 50% for 12 hours. Now, with the grade pushed up 2 ranks to Mythic grade, there is only a 10% decrease in defenses while hibernating, and no more post-hibernation debuffs. Once the process is complete, the user is completely healed. While this is a great perk, it isn't the one that catches my eye the most. When I choose to activate the skill, four possible options pop up that weren't available last time. Use Hibernation. Mythic grade. Cure. Mana Fatigue J Soju. Soul Energy Fatigue J Soju. Divine Energy Fatigue J Soju. Divine Energy Poisoning J Soju. Divine Energy Internal Combat Injuries J Soju. Slow Mode. Cost 465.22 million MP. Time 510.8 days. Yes and no. Basic Mode. Cost 95.09 billion MP. Time 140.1 days. Yes and no. Express Mode. Cost 212.43 trillion MP. Time 6.0 days. Yes and no. Emergency Mode. Cost 276.95 quadrillion MP. Time. My eyes widen, and my stomach drops as I read out all my injuries and the time frames at the top of the list of options. While the time frames at the bottom of the list look far more reasonable, especially the last one which is near instant, the amount of mana necessary to activate this option is more than there is available in this entire Canyon of Dungeons. Every dungeon in here combined, and even the labyrinth itself with over 60 floors, still only reaches single-digit percentage amounts of what I need to activate the emergency mode option. My fantasy of just going to sleep and waiting this out may have been a bit too optimistic. As I touch down in front of a random unattended stable E-class dungeon, the reality of this situation sinks in. It took me months to farm all of that mana and consolidate it into the project I'm working on. This labyrinth beneath the Crimson Dome has monsters inside that reach levels that just peak over 3,000. Every floor added to the labyrinth needs increasingly more and more mana. The higher floors needed hundreds of trillions of farmed MP to grow higher. Growing it another 10 to 15 more floors would cost about the same amount of MP necessary to complete this emergency hibernation. This massive exponential increase in necessary mana is part of the reason my labyrinth has stalled in its growth. However, these thoughts lead me to remember there are 2 other labyrinths I've been in before that have even more powerful floors than the one I'm building up. Maybe those will be enough. I smirk while my divine energy-imbued wounds burn my insides, and I grit my teeth again as more blood trickles from my mouth, and now my nose. Then, I step forward into the E-grade portal and dungeon walk to the 43rd floor of the Vice City Labyrinth. I'm left in an empty boss room and pull out the remains of the boss from my item storage that I've been waiting to drop here. I stand with my arms crossed and my eyes closed as I concentrate on healing the best I can until white transport magic brings me up to the next boss room. The Vice City Labyrinth is designed much differently than my own back in the Crimson City. While mine will have wide-open floors full of monsters on each level all the way to the top from 1 to 99, and an extra boss room at the end of each one until the final Guardian floor at the top, the Vice City Labyrinth works differently. I remember scrolling through the labyrinth options when I created mine, and this layout feels like the option that gives normal free-reign monster floors from 1 to 40, and special Guardian floors on floors 20 and 40 to 59 until the final 60th floor where the demon and dragon should stand. This is, after all, if enough mana and luminite are given to the labyrinth to grow. My own labyrinth isn't fully matured yet, but the fact that this one was owned by Mr. Freeman and has been active in Vice City for decades makes me believe it will have far more mana than my own. I don't wait for the 44th floor to fully spawn in. I just locate the boss and send a single spear of earth magic wrapped in a minimal amount of true core threads through the monster's head. It falls to the boss room floor before the terrain for this room even fully develops. I'm left standing in silence in a small mana simulation of a thick dark forest boss room for a few minutes before the transport magic flashes, and I'm teleported to the 45th floor. Again, I kill the boss monster before the floor even fully forms while standing with my arms still crossed and my eyes closed tight, continuing to heal my body as more blood streams from the corners of my lips, my nose, and now my eyes. It takes a full 19 minutes to reach the 52nd floor. The ringing in my ears becomes almost unbearable, and my temples begin to pulse with my heartbeat as blood even trickles from my ears too. The levels of the monsters I insta-kill rise by 300 to 700 every floor, rising above level 6000. None of the monsters on any of the floors below were notable fighters at all. With only mana as their energy source in their arsenal, I quite literally beat them all with my arms crossed and eyes closed. As I make it to this final floor, at first I'm disappointed to feel the presence of a demon core so early. I was hoping this labyrinth would be fully matured up to the 60th floor, and maybe I would even gain some more levels, but the mana required to maintain such high hopes is understandably unattainable. Letting out a sigh, I open my bleeding eyes and prepare to have a short chat with the guardians of this labyrinth. But as the final floor consolidates before me, I'm struck with a sight I wasn't expecting to see. I won't have to subjugate the guardians of this floor because it looks like someone else already did. In the center of a dark, wide-open circular standard cave-like boss room, an archdemon with long red horns lays in its center motionless, like it's asleep on a slab of black stone. It is made of the same material as both Monk's Temple and the pillar in the center of the Dark Continent. The even more eerie detail here is that there is no dragon in sight. Many questions race through my mind as I take a few steps forward, but the pain from my wounds and the mental fatigue override my curiosity. To be completely safe, I form a dense crystal sphere around the demon and imbue it with some of my true core's threads. Then, I sit down in the lotus position about 50 meters away from the sleeping demon and activate my mythic-grade plunder skill while selecting the emergency mode hibernation option. My curiosity can wait until I'm healed. I mutter in a coarse tone as the ringing in my ears vibrates like urgent alarms in my head. There's a surge of energy that makes my entire body glow bright white. Then, as it fades, a dark red aura starts to expand from my soul energy core. I allow my plunder skill to fully activate with no concern for my surroundings, remembering back to the times Ember drained the Titan's domain and collapsed full dungeons in the past. This same ominous, all-consuming red glow emanates from me now as I do the same. Instead of directly converting this mana in the air into pure usable MP for my own system interface to use, I just allow it to flow through me directly into the mythic-grade hibernation's activation fee. The 0/276.95 quadrillion MP hibernation meter quickly begins to rise, and simultaneously a warm and soothing feeling washes over me as I lose consciousness. Chapter 619. During my last hibernation process, when I was cleansing my body of demonic energy poisoning, I was fully unconscious until the process was complete. This time, it's a little different. While my fully alert and conscious decision-making mind is asleep, my passive perception abilities and the absurd rise in power keep the back of my mind semi-aware of my surroundings. The dark red plunderer aura grows in size, filling the entire boss room and seeping into the very fabric of the labyrinth itself. Trillions of MP flow through my body every few seconds, drained from the entire 52-floor structure, and channeled directly into the activation of my mythic-grade hibernation skill. Every few minutes, I feel the odd sensation of an entire labyrinth floor collapsing beneath me, its essence disappearing from reality, much like those dungeons out in the desert vanishing into thin air when I was farming them months ago. There's an initial click that vibrates in my mind, like a breaking point, then a whoosh as all the stored-up mana is greedily absorbed by my passive plundering. While the quadrillions of MP flow through me, I'm not actively using this mana. Only a small percentage is being applied to my mana control. However, even that small percentage is enormous and will more than double the amount of mana control I gained during my entire battle with the true cores out in the desert's dead zone. These calculations are an afterthought, as my mind is running on autopilot while the clicks and whooshes of floors being collapsed and absorbed race through my mind one after another. I can't tell how much time is passing or how close I am to the final hibernation goal, but I know it's working, and there's no longer any reason to worry. The rhythmic sounds echo in my consciousness as my body fills with a warm light, healing from the inside out with hundreds of quadrillions of MP. Everything seems to be working perfectly, until the clicking and whooshes stop. The final floor of the labyrinth is absorbed, yet the hibernation bar that continues to tick up is only at 238.40/276.95 quadrillion MP, and the boss room itself begins to fade out of existence as my aura of plundering does not slow down. Use absorption. Skill, telepathy. Upgrade, mythic. Yes. No. Use absorption. Skill, body double. Upgrade, mythic. Yes. No. Use absorption. MCP. 6023. 954. 200. 642. Yes. No. As the labyrinth fully collapses, the demon linked as its guardian dies as a result, leaving behind only an archdemon's core with absorption text floating above it, waiting for me to accept. I would instantly press yes on all three of these options if I were fully awake. But the only thing my mind wants to do right now is gather these last few dozen trillion MP to finish my hibernation process. The red aura continues to grow outward, now centered in the dungeon hub of Vice City, and it starts to creep throughout the city, triggering catastrophic events. All the mana-powered streetlights, crosswalks, and public transportation are instantly drained of the mana that keeps them running. My aura seeps deep into the structure of the dungeon hub itself. Countless tunnels of high B and A-grade mana shielding, which form the underground dungeon hub for tens of kilometers in every direction, simultaneously lose their buzzing sounds as mana is forcibly ripped out of them by my aura. The large Vice City Association buildings, made of high-grade shielding with bunkers and vaults full of mana crystals, are drained instantly as well. All around the city, the air pressure drops as every last particle of ambient mana within a 100-kilometer radius is drained away, leaving everyone's MP bars, no matter their status, at zero. Merchants at low levels and high C and B-class hunters try to resist the eerie red wave of light tinting the city, but it's futile. All of the hundreds of dungeons scattered throughout the city and the surrounding forest regions are affected too. Stolen from its rightful place, this narrative is not meant to be on Amazon. Report any sightings. Every single dungeon within my aura drops by roughly 50% of its mana reserves in minutes. New dungeons begin to break from rapid destabilization, while others, previously on the verge of collapse, have their excess mana instantly cleansed and stabilize again. No one knows what's happening. First, 3 powerful surges ripple across the entire region. Then, from the epicenter of the dungeon hub, where the Vice City Labyrinth used to sit, a deadly aura drains half of the region's mana in minutes. The ominous, all-consuming red aura finally stops spreading and disappears in an instant, allowing the blue sky to shine overhead once more. At the same time, I finally wake up, gasping for air as I try to conceptualize the fractured memories rushing through my mind from when I was asleep. Emergency mode hibernation complete. 276.95/276.95 quadrillion MP consumed. Cured. Mana fatigue J Soju. Soul energy fatigue J Soju. Divine energy fatigue J Soju. Divine energy poisoning J Soju. Divine energy internal combat injuries J Soju. These words ring in my mind as I look down at the floor to find I'm standing on the frame of deactivated mana shielding. I'm inside a small box, and I deduce that this is where the Vice City Labyrinth used to be. I vaguely remember entering this room once. There was a large green spinning portal, locked away behind multiple armed guards and high-security doors. Now, all that's left is a large black slab of rock that gives off no aura at all. It was where the demon lay motionless when I reached the top of this labyrinth in a severely injured, brain-fogged state. I instantly accept the 2 mythic-grade skill upgrades and the extra mana control, then open a small spatial magic portal to let the archdemon core and mysterious slab of rock into my storage. At the same time, I look down at my body in awe. It worked! I have no idea how much time has passed or the true extent of the destruction my mindless plundering stunt caused in the Vice region, but my body is completely healed. My true core is cycling energy perfectly, and not a single thread is out of place in my body. I feel as good as new, if not better. The hundreds of quadrillions of MP that used me as a vessel to power my hibernation skill may not have all directly added to my mana control, but it feels like my ability to absorb and control immense amounts of energy has risen exponentially. I've never handled that much energy at once before, but now that my body and mind have experienced it, it feels far more natural. Even at a fraction of that scale, utilizing this power in offensive or defensive maneuvers during battle could elevate me to a whole new level. I feel incredible, like I've slept for months, and my muscles and bones have healed and become stronger. I've only slept a few hours a month for the last few months, training to become strong enough to defeat the Lich King, then preparing for the B-class exams, and even during the exams themselves, staying on guard and leveling up inside the Divine Construct. I had small respites, but never a full reset. My mind feels completely clear, and my body is as light as a feather. I instantly take advantage of my 2 new mythic grade skills, activating stealth and walking right out of the deactivated mana-shielded labyrinth room. The streets and association workers are in chaos as I activate a telepathic link with all of my doubles simultaneously. I'm going to need a large amount of mana crystals farmed and a team from the Crimson Army to help restore the Vice region. I've left quite the mess here. No further explanation is needed, as with my new mythic grade body double perk, all memories are instantly shared between my main body and my other 3. There's no longer any time lag or mysteries between us. It's like my consciousness is split into 4 parts, and I can choose which ones to focus on or put on the back burner. My double, currently in the Apex region with Rodrigo and Bree, replies, "On it, we were just finishing up here. I'll notify the army right now. Plus, it's been almost 2 hours since you left. I'll be happy to notify our teammates of your successful healing process." I then activate the second new perk of my mythic grade body double upgrade, the ability to use teleportation magic to instantly swap places with any of my 3 linked doubles. In an instant, a flash of white light in the Apex and Vice regions simultaneously blinks, and I find myself in one of the isolated A-class only resting suites at the Apex Regions Association headquarters. Bree and Rodrigo stare at me with confused looks as my mana control vanishes from the room. I grin and look down at the stacks of papers and plans we've come up with in the last few hours, letting the memories of my double rush in so we can continue our meeting. Meanwhile, far off to the west, thousands of kilometers away, Raven flies high in the air. She's carrying an important package that was picked up from the lobby of the Apex Region's headquarters amidst all the chaos. While my double, Bree, Rodrigo, and all the higher-grade hunters were off subjugating the breaks all throughout the region, the beautiful white statue of a dragon in the main hall was stolen by a woman using a divine stealth ability. It rests safely in her item box as she flies through the skies at speeds far exceeding anything someone without a true core could hope to reach. Every 10 minutes or so, she drinks one of the bright green potions gifted to her as the divine energy-imbued wounds begin burning into her body and soul. The mythic grade potions are enough to temporarily stave off the pain, but even she knows they won't be enough to heal her completely. The thought at the back of her mind is that the 200 yellow fragments from delivering this package should be enough to treat her wounds. However, after the first cough of blood spreads through the air following her final potion, doubt creeps in. She approaches a large white mansion deep inside a jungle, with no other villages or civilization for hundreds of kilometers in any direction. The mansion has hundreds of windows and a long, white central walkway cutting through a cleared-out portion of the jungle, leading to the entrance of the mysterious mansion. As Raven descends into the jungle, she deactivates her stealth ability and begins slowly walking down the white pathway. Along the path, numerous art pieces line the way. Massive ogres holding axes, long-tailed serpents with venomous fangs, an army of stone golems, a humongous minotaur, and even smaller creatures like goblins, wolves, and slimes. They all share the same lifelike appearance and shimmering white color, just like the dragon statue Raven holds in her item box. Every 100 meters along the walkway, there's a statue missing, where it seems the collector is waiting for a new masterpiece to display. Raven's slow, Rhythmic footsteps echo closer and closer to the 4 massive cylindrical pillars in front of the staircase leading up to the mansion's entrance. She coughs blood again, holding her mouth shut so as not to ruin the pristine displays, and the 2 massive front doors creak open. Chapter 620. My gaze sweeps over all the maps, regional contracts, and association hunter names scattered on the work table in front of me. Bree and Rodrigo are across the room, and the meeting that's been going on for about an hour floods back into my mind in full detail. We pick up right where we left off, while simultaneously, the double that swapped places with me activates mind links with my 2 other doubles, and a mass farming expedition begins. I just absorbed a large amount of mana from the densest part of the Vice region. Over time, the natural ambient mana will gradually seep back into the affected area. A lot of the public transport, lighting, and protective shielding of the dungeon hub won't just be fixed overnight. This is why I've tasked my doubles, and now every available member of the Crimson Army, to help me farm pure mana as quickly as possible. In a matter of minutes, I've organized a well-oiled machine, funneling vast amounts of mana crystals from all the rogue dungeons I have access to throughout the Dark Continent and the 8 great regions, farming millions of MP every minute. Though it would take years at this rate to gather enough mana to restore the entire Vice region to its former state, that isn't my goal. The first thing I restore using my craftsmanship interface and my new imbuement skill is the power to the crosswalks and train systems, returning them to their former working state. This simple fix alleviates the overall panic among the general public, and the association workers on duty can more easily manage the civilians. Next, I imbue the entire Dungeon Hub's shielding system with just enough mana to ensure that basic E and D grade breaches won't allow monsters to spew into the streets. I focus on the most volatile dungeons, reinforcing their shields with C and B grade mana supplies, but it takes millions of MP just to complete a small section of shielding at this level, so I limit these high priority areas. To ensure I haven't accidentally liquidated the assets of all the smaller merchants in town, I discreetly drop off a few 100,000 MP worth of mana crystals at each stall, using my stealth skill to remain unnoticed. The larger institutions, guilds, and the association itself likely stockpile their wealth in gold and real estate. They can handle the short-term minor losses, and they can be reimbursed later by filing claims with the association headquarters. Since I'm in charge now, it'll be sorted out after the emergency passes. However, some smaller merchants likely hold a significant portion of their wealth in pure mana, and a few days without it could be detrimental to their families or livelihoods. I don't mind playing it safe and giving them extra now, even if they didn't lose as much as I'm gifting. One of my doubles even heads to smaller neighboring towns and villages caught in the plundered radius and does the same. In less than half an hour, the entire affected area of the Vice region is stabilized, and a larger catastrophe has been averted. Meanwhile, in my main body, I've wrapped up my meeting with Bree and Rodrigo beneath the Apex region. I stand up from the table we've been sitting around and nod. Good. You'll send out a transmission later tonight once the commotion from today's surges dies down. I want a meeting here with all registered B and A-class hunters in the 8 great regions. Make sure all the regional directors attend as well. As the new stand-in for Mr. Freeman, I'll be announcing our official trade partnership with the Flame Emperor. The 8 great regions and the Dark Continent will soon merge as one. Bree finishes calculating the numbers and the estimated profit increase we'll make by controlling the Apex region's funds and power over the other 7 regions. Stacks of papers now tally the new demand for gear and items necessary to run this entire branch of the association. While much of the crafting and manufacturing is done in-house here in the Apex region, we'll gradually replace every worker with our loyal craftsmen, citizens of the Crimson City. New access to the thousands of dungeons across the nation will lead to far more gear and potion crafting options, and, of course, the labyrinth 1 floor below us. Rodrigo taps away on his silver tablet, organizing a lot of the information discussed today on a private database. He types up drafts for the transmissions he'll send to many hunters and higher-ups later tonight to begin scheduling a meeting where I'll officially take over the Apex region director's identity and establish the new rules for this soon-to-be dual-nation kingdom. This narrative has been purloined without the author's approval. Report any appearances on Amazon. While everything seems to be coming together perfectly, and today's events have been contained and stabilized completely, an odd sensation tickles the back of my mind. I don't mention it as I turn toward the door to leave, sure that neither of the others in the room can sense what I'm feeling. It's that same peculiar well of gravity pulsing in the back of my mind. Two of them, actually. The signal is far to the west, and the pulsing is incredibly weak. It's so faint that, if I wasn't at full health and strength after hibernating in the Vice region, I don't think I would have noticed it at all. One is very familiar, it's Raven's. The other is one I've never felt before, and it's incredibly powerful. I'm certain it's another true core. Just minutes ago, as my doubles were restoring the city I had drained of mana and my meeting concluded, Raven watches the two white doors of a desolate mansion in the dark jungle region swing open. She takes a few dozen steps up the pristine white stairs until she finally reaches the entrance, where the 20-meter-high doors come to a halt, leaving the large mansion's entrance hall exposed. Inside, countless art pieces, seemingly crafted from the same glossy white material, line the outer edges of the room. Enormous high orcs, evolved yetis, lizardmen, and various types of golems and humanoid monsters like berserker giants and unique species stand along the walls. Some hold weapons, others wear armor, and a few are displayed on pedestals and wall mounts. Hundreds of lifelike monsters fill this mysterious mansion as Raven steps inside and walks down the ominously quiet hall. She calls out confidently, her voice echoing down the long corridor. "I've got what you asked for, the dragon from the Apex region. Now pay me what's mine." She doesn't slow her pace, and the mansion remains eerily silent despite its doors having opened just moments ago. There's not a single sound, not even the buzz of insects or the calls of animals from the dense jungle surrounding this place. It's as if all the wildlife knows to steer clear of the pristine palace guarded by marble-white statue sentinels. As Raven makes her way about 30 meters inside, the faint sound of heavy breathing breaks the silence. It's the same rhythmic noise she heard over the transmission device long before her battle in the desert. She speaks again, pulling out the item box from her waist, as she approaches two massive winding staircases that ascend on both sides of the hall. "It's right here. Hand over the payment, and I'll be on my way." Before she can finish, a piercing ringing echoes in her ears, and she violently coughs up blood onto the pristine white floor of the mansion. Gritting her teeth, Raven ignores the pain, holding up the item box and waiting for a response. The heavy breathing halts a moment later, and the yellow light of another true core flares up from the back of the second floor above. Hundreds of thin white threads, imbued with silky smooth, barely visible yellow divine energy, burst from above and curve down toward Raven. She doesn't flinch, and, as a result, the microscopic threads stop right in front of her, consolidating into a single white strand that snatches the item box from her hand. Common sense would dictate that as the threads merge, they'd become thicker, but the single thread remains just as thin as before. Without enhanced senses or perception stats of at least a level 5000 hunter, and a true core's enhancement, it would appear as if the item box floated out of Raven's hand on its own and disappeared into the second floor. A trickle of blood drips from Raven's nose, and the hundreds of internal wounds across her body burn with an intensity that makes her wince. At the same time, a silver containment case, held up by a nearly invisible white thread, floats down from the balcony above. It halts as Raven lifts her hands to accept it, the bright yellow divine fragments clearly visible through the transparent top. She nods and places the case into another small item box on her waist. As the single thread splits into hundreds and spirals back up into the top floor, an eccentric voice echoes through the mansion. "How about the Flame Emperor? I wanted him alive too." A rogue force that pushed the 8 great regions to collapse right before the awakening of the throne. Now that would be quite the piece for my new collection. His tone wavers unpredictably, mispronouncing words in a way that is deeply unsettling. Raven shakes her head, coughing up more blood. "It was too risky to try and capture him alive. As you can see, he did a number on me." Another pool of crimson liquid stains the pristine white floor as she walks away, speaking again. "You got what you wanted. I'm not here to catch up. I need to heal for the upcoming battle. Our pact of immunity will soon be over, and I need to be ready." She takes a few steps, but the threads from the second floor hover, poised as if to attack. The man's voice echoes once more, and the bright yellow glow of his true core flares from above. You're right. Our alliance will be ending. But even so, you can't leave so soon. I must know what happened today. Tell me your side of the story, the one who saved us from the Flame Emperor's evil reign. He pauses for a few seconds, thinking to himself. Then his tone becomes even more erratic, tinged with madness. The invisible fighter who still bleeds crimson blood like us. Raven, the savior of the Order. The valiant warrior who defended those who sacrificed their entire lives in search of the Originator's offering. Yes, this is it. This is even better than having the Flame Emperor himself. Your scars tell an even more magnificent story. I've just found inspiration for my next masterpiece. The man's tone wavers even more, and the laugh of an insane artist gets louder and louder while his yellow core illuminates the mansion. Lining the walls of the top floor above the entrance hall, dozens of human statues are displayed. Hunters holding swords and shields, old and young, in all kinds of styles that look like they're from recent times and others that look like they're from decades ago. The hundreds of shimmering threads dive toward Raven, and, in response, she draws 2 silver blades. Her own true core shines brightly, and the hundreds of internal wounds across her body pulse with the same dense yellow light.